Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound and a score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby.
The game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Today, training camp is over for the Titans. That's right. Tomorrow they have a preseason game. And then after that, they'll cut the roster down on Tuesday. And then after that, they'll have a couple of days of practice. And hopefully, unlike last year when Harold Landry tore his ACL, knock on wood, nobody will get hurt. And then after that, it's the Saints. So we're right there. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
I have a request that I should have asked for maybe 6 hours ago, and I didn't. So I'm just going to put it to you on the spot right now, if I may. But I do feel like I'm going to need a little football music for this first segment today because training camp is over. And so I want to go over the final observations from training camp 2023. There we go. There you go. Number one, let's just get right to it now that training camp's over. Number one, the Titans defense is legit. That's right. I didn't go into training camp thinking that the Titans defense was going to be legit. I just saw every day the Titans defense dominate the Titans offense. I thought the defense would be pretty good this year. I didn't have any qualms about the defense. But as far as dominating, they did it every single day. And at the beginning, it made me very, very, very nervous that it was the Titans offense and that it was the Titans offensive line and that it was the Titans problems, that 30th ranked offense a year ago that was the issue for the Titans and for that defense. And now I'm convinced that's not the case. Now I'm convinced after watching in Minnesota that Titans defense is legit. And while I'm not afraid of I'm afraid of an injury guy, I am also aware that that injuries are possible. And I am ready to bubble wrap the Titan defense and send them to New Orleans. And I wouldn't play anybody who's going to be on that defense on Friday night except maybe Elijah Molden. Other than that, everybody else, just pack up, get ready for NOLA. Number two, the Titans absolutely glaring needs this offseason on special teams were kicker and punt returner, and the Titans failed to fill both. That's right. Here we are 2 weeks away from kickoff in New Orleans, and we don't know who the kicker's going to be, and we don't know who the punt returner's going to be. And what'd they do this offseason? What happened to, hey, Rand, get me some returners? No returners, no kicker. I don't know what they're going to do when it comes to those spots. The third thing that I noticed from training camp, my final observation, DeAndre Hopkins is DeAndre Hopkins. We talked about, there might be a 33% chance that he's still DeAndre, a 33% chance that he's a lesser version of DeAndre, and 33% that he's Julio, that he's Carl Pickens, that he's Andre Johnson or Eric Moulds or Randy, whoever. He's still DeAndre. And not only that, DeAndre Hopkins is a pro. He's a pro with how he goes about his business. He's a pro about how he handles his press conferences. He's a pro about the things he says. And whatever happened to DeAndre never practices? Remember, wasn't that like a big issue that we were talking about during the DeAndre watch? Now, I'm not foolish enough to believe that it wasn't at some point an issue, but I also believe that DeAndre was clearly out to show that that was a figment of Bill O'Brien's narrative and that he doesn't want that to be a reputation that he has. So whatever the reason for it, DeAndre has practiced every day for the most part at training camp, and I'd say DeAndre's practiced well. And it's been the kind of practicing between him and Tannehill where I see them working on things, and it gives me confidence that the Titans have DeAndre Hopkins. Another observation, Andre Dillard's going to need some help at left tackle. Now, we knew that going into it, or at least we should have, because the Titans paid Andre Dillard $10 million. They didn't pay him $25, which is the going rate for a starting high-end left tackle. So when you buy at a discount, you're not going to get as good of a product. When it comes to Andre Dillard, he's going to need help from everyone. And that means help from Tim Kelly, who's going to have to probably do a lot of things with Tannehill away from the left tackle when he's going up against a Joey Bosa in week 2 or when he's going up against Myles Garrett in week 3. He's going to need help from Peter Skoronski, who's going to be next to him at left guard, who I think is pretty good. And he's going to need help in pass protection, the chip game from the tight ends, the running backs. They're going to have to help him. They're going to have to look at this. He's much better than Dennis Daly. But they're going to have to look at this and say, okay, with Andre Dillard, we don't have Taylor Lewan there anymore. We don't have Michael Roos there or Brad Hopkins or Mike Munchak lining up at left tackle. And we're just going to have to make do with it. Azeez Al-Shaair, another free agent acquisition this year for the Titans, is the perfect fit for this defense. He's fast. He's got nice size to him. But most importantly, he's got a nose for the football. It just, every time in training camp, and I was actually looking through my notes today because I was looking over to see how many times Will Levis got intercepted when I was out of practice today. But as I was looking through my notes, a lot of these interceptions, whether it was 7-on-7, whether it was 11-on-11, whatever it may be, it was either some combination of number 2, which is Al-Shaair, number 2 hit the ball in the air on a pass breakup and it was intercepted by a DB, or a DB hit the ball up in the air and it was intercepted by Al-Shaair. With those big boys up front, oftentimes early in camp, he'd be in the backfield on a running play. And the Titans are going to expect him to be a tackling machine this year. And again, with those big boys they have, Tart and Simmons, he should be. Because they're going to eat up the blocks, and then it's going to be the running back versus Azeez Al-Shaair. And I know he doesn't have the name recognition of a C.J. Mosley with the Jets, but I am telling you, I think that Azeez Al-Shaair is the perfect fit for this defense, even though he was a relative unknown coming from San Francisco where he played with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. The safeties, again, this is another kind of final take. The safeties are fine, Byard and Hooker, and they look like they're in midseason form. What we kind of forgot about because Amani Hooker got hurt last year, he's kind of a ball hawker too. You know, Azeez Al-Shaair, it's been obvious in training camp. He's got a nose for the football. Kevin Byard's led the NFL in interceptions before. We know he's got a nose for the football. But Amani Hooker has always had a nose for the football, and that was apparent in training camp so far. So the safeties, I feel pretty good about. Now, they've got some serious depth issues behind those two at the safety position, and unlike Byard, it's not like Hooker is not somewhat of an injury liability. So I'd like to see the Titans, when all the cut downs come, when the practice squads get filled, I'd like to see the Titans make an addition to the secondary of another safety kind of guy who can play. Kind of like Andrew Adams last year, who, by the way, was a pretty good player for the Titans. The Titans have very little depth outside of the defensive line and the running back, and that is a concern. An injury to Treylon Burks right now has Nick Westbrook-Akina lining up at wide receiver. An injury to Chig Okonkwo has who knows at tight end. An injury to a corner like a Christian Fulton, who has dealt with injuries in the past and who's had a great camp. An injury to a Christian Fulton means that Trey Avery is back in the lineup at corner. I don't think you want that. I don't want that either. But the thing about injuries are they're going to happen in the NFL. And for some reason, whether it's the way Vrabel practices them, whether it's the turf, whether it's the players they have on the roster, whether it's the way John Robinson drafted them, whether it's the way your medical guys evaluate them, I don't know. But for the last 2 years, you've had serious injury problems. And the depth on this team, I'm not sure can survive it, just like they couldn't survive it last year. I don't think they can stand an injury to the offensive line. Outside of Corey Levin, I don't know who would go in if somebody got injured on the offensive line right now. I don't know who the swing tackle for this football team is going to be. That's not a good spot to be in. I don't know what they would do at wide receiver if they, knock on wood, lost another guy. And that's something that I don't want to see them in. So depth is an issue. That's a takeaway from camp. And I'm not saying there's really a whole lot that they could do about it, but that is a big takeaway. And finally, Christian Fulton looks like he's ready to bust out. And I think there's two reasons why my training camp observations end on Christian Fulton being ready to bust out. Number one, it is obvious that Christian Fulton took the offseason seriously in terms of how he was going to take care of his body with all the injuries that he's dealt with in the past. Number two, I've always thought Christian Fulton was a fine defensive back. And so with a fine defensive back, just like I think Sean Murphy-Bunting is a fine defensive back, with a fine defensive back, a fine corner, you can get by with him, and it's not like having Tremaine Brock Sr. out there in the AFC Championship game. But also, it's the walk year for Christian Fulton. This is the year where he's going to make his living. Just like Corey Davis had one good season, and it happened to be the one season before he got paid. He got paid, he got his money, and now he's out of the NFL. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Fulton, but it's a big year. But most importantly, for all these corners, Murphy-Bunting, Fulton, McCreary, all of these guys, with the pass rush I think the Titans are about to have, what I've seen in training camp with the addition of Arden Key, those guys are going to get the privilege of covering less and being able to intercept or deflect duress throws from other teams' quarterbacks. And that makes any secondary better. So I would keep an eye out there. You know, Sean Murphy-Bunting wasn't exactly the number one guy in free agency. He can win a Super Bowl for you. If you've got Shaq Barrett, if you've got JPP, if you've got Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh on that defensive line, you can win a Super Bowl with Sean Murphy-Bunting at corner. And he's at corner for you. Fulton's had a great camp. So have the other DBs, and I think in large part, a lot of that's because of your defensive line. So those are the takeaways from Titans training camp. Now that training camp is over and in the books, and I was talking to Chase earlier today, and I was like, I feel kind of depressed right now. And I was trying to figure out why it was that I was feeling depressed or why I was feeling, and I'm like, it's because I'm ready for ball. I'm ready for football season. And we're so close. And knowing that training camp is over just means that what are we now, 16 days away from New Orleans? With a dominant defense, with a veteran quarterback, with an offensive line that looks like it's coming together. Now, they can't kick. They can't return punts. But other than that, feels like a solid team. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. That's what I know about the Titans, having watched them in training camp. Now, what we don't know, the backup quarterback position and who Vrabel prefers. And I think that the job is somebody's to lose tomorrow night. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. We are your racing station. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game is Nashville's home for NASCAR. Tune in this Saturday for the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona beginning at 7. NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game is presented by O'Charlie's.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
What's up, everybody? This is Teron Davenport. Football season is right around the corner, and now is the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook Sports. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use promo code TDInsider to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code TDInsider. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who's your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Simply download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus, and the TD Insider promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
Arthritis and rheumatic conditions are leading causes of disabilities among adults. Joint replacement could be the solution. The team at Houston Clinic Orthopedics approaches each case with a complete evaluation to see if surgery is right for you. Houston Clinic Orthopedics specializes in arthritis, hip, knee, and shoulder replacements, hip fractures, osteoarthritis of the hip, and joint pain. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Man, this is a nice truck.
Yeah, check this out.
What?
I changed it to remind me of my time at sea.
Weren't you in the Air Force?
Yeah, but I really love the ocean.
You could save and get $200 with Navy Federal Credit Union when you refinance your auto loans from another lender, leaving you with extra to spend on other things. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Credit and collateral subject to approval. Refinance loans must be at least $5,000 to be eligible for the $200. Terms and conditions apply. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Will Levis back at practice today, Coach? Do you have a plan for Friday?
No, not yet. We don't have any availability or, any decisions yet. See how he comes out of practice and see how he feels.
That was Vrabel yesterday talking about Will Levis. Ian, do you think that Mike Vrabel doesn't have a plan for Will Levis on Friday night?
I think overall he probably has an idea of what he would like to do.
That's why when Joe says, you think Mike Vrabel would lie? Yes. I do not think that Mike Vrabel is a man of George Washington's integrity. And I hope he can live with that, right? Like, I hope that he can live with the idea of, I don't necessarily look at you the way that I would look at George Washington, who could never tell a lie. Now, those politicians last night up there on the stage, I don't know about that, but, oh, man. Did you watch that, by the way, last night?
No, I didn't really, no.
So I watched it last night, and what drove, I'm not going to tell you, who I liked or who I didn't like or who I would vote for or who I wouldn't vote for, because then I start saying that, and people are like, how could you? As if it matters what I care, what I think. But the thing that got me about the debate last night, if you watched it, was I thought the most interesting stuff was when they would ask the question of, hey, who thinks this? Raise your hand. And instead of these, political answers, it was just hand up, hand down. Is your hand up? And then there was some so did you put your hand up or did you not put your hand up? But the reason I say that is because I was listening to the Midday Show today, and they were talking about the backup quarterback spot. And Caroline decided to go around the room and ask them what they thought about who the backup quarterback should be. And the overwhelming vote was Malik Willis. Willie said Malik. Derek said Malik. Nick Frazier gave us a political answer, by talking about the Titans going out there and signing somebody else. They're not going to do that. Trust me. The penny-pinching Kevin Byard has to take a pay cut Titans are not going to sign a fourth quarterback. So it's going to be one of these two guys. I mean, it's crazy to think that they're going to go out and get another person. But then he went with Malik, and Caroline went with Will Levis. Now, I don't have any intel that would tell it to me one way or another. But I think that the job is Will Levis's to lose tomorrow. I don't think Tannehill's going to play. And if it were up to me, I probably wouldn't play Tannehill unless he begged me to play. Then I would reconsider and I'd play him. If he felt like he needed the work, then I might play him. But I don't see that the 9 snaps are going to make that much of a difference for Tannehill between now and New Orleans. And right now, after the Burks injury, where we are in the calendar, let's just bubble wrap everything that we feel certain about and just ship it to New Orleans so that it gets there safe and sound. But I would play Will Levis most of the night on Friday. I wouldn't not play Malik. But I would play Will Levis for pretty much the entire game. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, Malik has played 102 preseason snaps. Will Levis has played 30. So there's no way that Levis is going to get to 70 snaps on Friday night unless something crazy happens. And if Levis does get to 70 snaps, either you've got the best third-team defense in the world or Levis is sustaining like 19-play drives consistently. And if that's the case, then he should be the backup. But he needs to play more. I'm not saying the job is Will Levis's. I'm saying it's his to lose. I have not decided who the backup quarterback should be. I have Levis ahead of Willis because I know what Willis is, and I don't think Willis is good enough right now to be an NFL backup quarterback, which takes me to Levis. Levis has not turned the football over much in training camp. I know he had the one interception at the end of the Bears game, but I don't really count that because it was hey, you got to throw the ball deep anyways. The game's almost over. You got to chuck the ball to the end zone type throw. But I also think about who gives the Titans the best chance to win if something happens to Tannehill. And for some reason, a lot of people, including people that talk on the radio, some of whom might be on the station, Joe, a lot of people seem to think that the Titans can come up with two game plans as they get ready for the Saints or they get ready for the Browns or they get ready for the Chargers or they get ready for any of these teams, that they can come up with two game plans. So here's our game plan for Tannehill, which we're going to spend the entire week putting in, and here's our game plan for Malik. Well, there is no time during the week to put in the game plan for Malik. So the idea of, well, if Tannehill gets hurt and Malik has to go in the game, we can totally change all the play calls that we're making and we can change all these plays and run them for Malik. You can't really do that. On Wednesday, you work on first and second down. On Thursday, you work on the goal line. On Friday, you work on third down. And all these game plans are going to be for Tannehill, unless Tannehill gets hurt and is out for the game. And so if that's the case, who gives you the best chance to win? Who gives you the best chance to run Tannehill's plays? I think the answer is Levis. Who has taken better care of the football so far? I think the answer is Levis. Either guy is going to go into the game and basically be told to hand the ball to Derrick Henry and throw it in the vicinity of DeAndre Hopkins as much as possible. Who do you trust the most to do that? Will Levis in the red zone is a superior player to Malik Willis. I don't think anybody would argue that. Which means that when you have to have the tight window throw, Levis is probably ahead of Willis. So because of this, I need to see Will Levis on Friday night, but I need to see him play, and I'm thinking about it as Will Levis as a backup. I'm not thinking in the Chicago Bears game, I wasn't thinking about Will Levis as a backup. I was thinking about Will Levis, the total package, as the quarterback. Tomorrow night, I'm thinking about Will Levis as the backup. If something were to happen to Tannehill and Levis were to have to go in, can he give me a better chance to win? Can he take care of the football? Can he make tight window throws? And can he at least, and because of that, I want him behind the first-team offensive line. I want him out there. I don't know how many starters Belichick's going to play. He might play some. I want him out there. If Matthew Judon's out there, I want Will Levis out there. Because if something happens to Tannehill, knock on wood, in week 3 against the Browns, they're not taking Myles Garrett off the field just because Will Levis is going in the game. But Malik's had his chance. And Malik has not done anything to run away with the job. And I said this before the start of camp, that the tie goes to Levis. And the tie goes to Levis for the most obvious reason, which is, and a lot of you don't want to hear this, he's the quarterback of the future. When they were trying to trade back into the first round, it was to draft their quarterback of the future, and that was Will Levis. Now, I believe that Vrabel's the kind of coach who will play the best man no matter what. And so far, I think it's been somewhat even in camp, but I'm leaning Levis after the performance from Willis against the Vikings. So I would sit down with Will Levis tonight, and I wouldn't have Tim Kelly do it. I wouldn't have Charles London do it. If I were Mike Vrabel, I would do it myself. And I'd sit down with him, and I'd sit down with Malik Willis, and then I'd sit down with all three of them. And I would say Will Levis is going to get the majority of the snaps tomorrow night. This is nothing against Malik. This is not showing our hand as to who the guy is or who we think is going to be the guy as the backup to Tannehill. But again, Malik has 102 preseason snaps and 4 series behind the first-team offensive line, and Will Levis has 30. And I need to know, can Will Levis go in a game and give me a better chance to win than Malik Willis? Right now, and I like Malik, I do, and I think Malik has made a lot of progress, but I'm just not convinced that Malik Willis gives me a chance to win these games if something were to happen to Tannehill. Can't miss the layups, can't miss the easy ones, and can't have the bad interceptions. And so I can't baby either guy, but if I'm going to baby somebody, it's going to be the rookie who I've invested my job in, and that's Levis. So I think the backup job, I do think you'll see a lot of Levis tomorrow, and I think the backup job is his to lose. And that's how it probably should be. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this. A lot of you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. And then coming up next, here's the other thing about Levis versus Willis. And it's kind of the unfortunate part of Levis versus Willis. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. And our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. And tune in for Sounds Baseball today at 6:05 on 94.9 The Fan as the Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner-occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchen, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Bavarian Beer House at Opry Mills. Bavarian Beer House, Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, is full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German bratwurst, schnitzel, giant pretzels, and more in an Oktoberfest-inspired space. Visit BeerhouseNashville.com for their live music schedule. Get a $50 gift card for half off right now at TheGameNashville.com/deals while supplies last.
City Winery Nashville presents Paula Poundstone live in concert on Friday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Iconic comedian Paula Poundstone is known for her smart, observational humor and legendary spontaneous wit. Paula is the star of several HBO specials, including Cats, Cops and Stuff, and Paula Poundstone Goes to Harvard. Paula is a regular panelist on NPR's comedy news quiz, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. She's heard weekly on her successful comedy podcast, Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. Don't miss Paula Poundstone and get your tickets at citywinery.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's gonna fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
My feeling is that he should.
Okay, so if he doesn't,
I'll be disappointed if he doesn't. I think it's a disappointment if he doesn't.
What if he doesn't because Malik Willis builds on Saturday, which I do think was overall positive, and keeps getting better and just holds them off, and they're both getting better, but Willis just a little bit better?
It'll still be disappointing.
Because he was drafted, moved up in the second round.
That you're an SEC guy who's drafted around higher, who you traded up for, who was highly rated coming into the draft and underdrafted according to most people, can't overtake a guy who didn't have to read much in high school, et cetera, et cetera. I think it would rate as a disappointment. I don't think the Titans would think that way, but I certainly think that way.
There you go. That was Kaharski earlier in training camp saying it would be a disappointment if Will Levis does not come away with the backup job. Now, I, again, have not decided. You know, Chris Sanders and I got in the argument yesterday about he wants to go ahead and give the backup job to Malik Willis, and, it took some prodding for him to kind of backtrack a little bit, saying that he wants to see how Levis does on Friday night. But I think the job is, in my opinion, Will Levis is to lose. And if Will Levis goes out there and if he plays the same way he played against the Chicago Bears, I think he probably should be the backup quarterback. And there's a couple of reasons why. The first is we always start with if something serious happens to Ryan Tannehill, this season is over. And you're probably right about that. But I don't think the Steelers thought when Tommy Maddox went down, I don't think that they thought Ben Roethlisberger was going to go 13-0 as their quarterback. Now, they had drafted Roethlisberger to be the future in Pittsburgh, but again, I don't think they thought he was going to go 13-0 and take them to the AFC Championship game. And I don't think that the 49ers thought that Brock Purdy, when he had to come in as their third quarterback last year, I don't think that they thought that Brock Purdy was going to win every game for them until he had to have Tommy John surgery after the NFC Championship game. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Which tells me, I don't think Vrabel's packing up the season if something were to happen to Tannehill. But let's just say something did. If something were to happen to Tannehill, big picture, wouldn't you put Levis in? Wouldn't that make the most amount of sense? He's a month older than Malik Willis. And to the point that Paul made, this is an SEC guy who played in a pro-style offense. And in the preseason, and in training camp, which I've seen and a lot of you haven't, in training camp, Levis doesn't look overmatched. Willis looked like a fish out of water last year, which is why it was borderline criminal that the Titans made him the backup quarterback. But Levis has not looked that way at all in training camp or in the preseason game against the Bears. So if something big were to happen to Tannehill, Levis is your quarterback of the future. A lot of you think you're going to lose anyways. If something were to happen to Tannehill, then wouldn't you be playing Levis? I mean, again, I think we kind of know what Malik is right now. Do we know if Will Levis is going to be a franchise quarterback or not? Or a lot of you watching him at Kentucky, you just want to say, no way, no how. And yet Mel Kiper Jr. has compared him to Troy Aikman. My guess is he's probably somewhere in the middle. But if he's got the potential to be Troy Aikman, I better rather see him out there, let him get the reps than Malik, right? Okay. Now, if something were to happen to Tannehill in the middle of the week, or in the middle of the game, where you've already come up with your game plan for that week, who is more likely to, A, be able to run Tannehill's plays, and B, protect the football? And the answer is Levis. So the only reason I can see that the Titans would not give the backup job to Will Levis as opposed to Malik Willis, unless Levis just bombs tomorrow night against the Patriots, which I'm not anticipating, would be simply because they want to give Will Levis a redshirt year. But Will Levis is 24 years old. And again, he's coming from a pro-style offense. He'll be much better a year from now. Just like Sam Howell is much better than he was last year. Just like Kenny Pickett is much better than he was last year. Just like Brock Purdy is much better than he was this time last year when it was a headline that the 49ers decided to keep him and cut Nate Sudfeld. So in both instances, if something bad were to happen to Tannehill, long term, I think it only makes sense to go to Levis. Short term, I think it probably only makes sense to go to Levis unless the Titans have decided. And with Vrabel, what I don't know is how much he felt burned by what happened to Malik last year. Now, part of that was his own doing, for sure. But that was his first experience with a young quarterback. Putting in a young quarterback who was not ready to play. And I know he was on the Texans and they had Deshaun Watson, but he was the defensive coordinator. He wasn't the offensive coordinator. He wasn't the head coach. The drafting of Malik was the first time the Titans had a young quarterback on the roster who wasn't some Cole McDonald Scarbini that might stick or might not. Luke Falk. Those guys don't count. And we're talking about guys that you plan to count on. And I could see Vrabel, who absolutely put Malik in before he was ready, I could see him wanting to not make the same mistake twice. I don't think these are the same players, and I don't think they're at the same point in their development. All I'm arguing is I could see it. So if the Titans wanted to give Levis a redshirt year, then that would allow them to make Willis the backup. But other than that, unless Levis just bombs, I don't see why he wouldn't be the backup of this team. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. Texter into the text line says, Jared, why is it that everybody is shoving how much Malik has improved down our throats? He's getting closer to 100 yards a game, and it's not good enough. It would be irresponsible and criminal to make him QB2 behind a 35-year-old quarterback who's coming off of an injury with a questionable offensive line. Well, I mean, again, I think we're comparing this to Levis. If we're sitting there and we're comparing him to, say, Nick Mullins, that's a different discussion. Because I don't think he's as good right now as Nick Mullins. I'm thinking about the standard backup quarterback in the NFL, Gardner Minshew. I don't think he's as good as Gardner Minshew. But we're not. We're comparing him to Levis. Now, why is everybody telling you how much he's improved? Because he's improved. I mean, to me, I think that that's simple. That he has improved significantly. That when the Titans took Malik Willis, I mean, let's just call it how it is. The obvious. The Titans had no faith that Malik Willis was going to make this jump. I'm not saying they wouldn't have drafted Will Levis if they did, but they operated the entire offseason as if Malik Willis was Mason Kinsey. They did not make a single decision, I believe, based upon Malik Willis. And I think that was the right decision given the circumstances, and it's still probably the right decision now. Especially if they think that Will Levis has franchise quarterback potential. Which, if they did, someone would have to explain to me why they drafted a guard ahead of a guy that they thought had franchise quarterback potential, but that's a different story for a different day. And I think that's kind of the growing pains and rookie mistaking that we're learning from Vrabel and Rand Carthon doing this is, the whole process of how we got there doesn't totally make sense. And I think some of that's because they're learning on the job, which is okay. And again, you hire a rookie, you're gonna have rookie mistakes. And I'm not just pinning this on Rand Carthon. I mean, Vrabel in this capacity is a rookie. And so taking a guard over somebody that they think is a franchise quarterback, and you draft the guy in the second round, you're trying to trade back into the first to take him. I mean, he better go right to the Hall of Fame. But that's a different discussion for a different day. But the reason why everybody's telling you how much Malik has improved is because Malik has improved. And I think we have to give him credit. Gover. We haven't heard from Gover in a long time there, Ian. Gover says, not if something happens to Tannehill, but when. This is a guy who can't stay healthy. He's absolutely missing games this season, and I hope I am wrong, of course. I'm not as worried about Tannehill on the injury front as you guys are. Yeah, he's 35 years old. Yeah, he got hurt last year, but Tannehill's been the quarterback since October of 2019, and for 2 years, we almost never talked about the backup quarterback position outside of the last week of training camp when it was Matt Barkley versus Logan Woodside or Trevor Siemian versus Logan Woodside. We never talked about it because, quite frankly, it didn't matter. I mean, Logan Woodside never went into any of these games. Tannehill played all the time. The bigger issue with Tannehill was in that first Todd Downing season, which I'm willing to put on Downing more than I am Tannehill. In that first Todd Downing season, he was terrible. But Tannehill, to me, is not an injury risk. He had one play last year where Petit Ferrer rolled up into his ankle, and that caused the problem for the entire season. So one play out of 4 years, I feel confident Tannehill will be okay. Wes in Clarksville says, man, you love Will Levis. Do you wear a Levis jersey to bed every night? I have never said that I loved Will Levis. What's the official line? Ian, what was the official line before the draft? What was the official line after the draft? What's the official line now?
You like Will Levis.
I like Levis. I liked Will Levis when he was coming out. I loved Anthony Richardson. I like Will Levis. You all hated him. Hey, he sucks. He'll never be any good. Then they drafted him. Hey, he sucks. He'll never be any good. Like, guys, I'll give you a little bit of a chance here. Randy has been waiting patiently. He's up next. Thank you for calling. What's up, Randy?
Hey, Jared. Just wanted to make a couple points and a question.
Sure.
The backup role. So in practice during the season, they only run 2 groupings, right? They're not running 3 groupings. So whoever's the backup gets like 30-40% of the snaps, and the third string guy usually doesn't play a lot, right?
So that's not really what happens. So what happens is Tannehill usually gets most of the snaps.
They want to develop Levis.
Randy,
that's the time to do it.
You asked a question. Let me answer your question. So what usually happens is Tannehill gets most of the snaps with the offense, and then whatever quarterback they're getting ready to play, that quarterback will run what's called the show team. My guess is Will Levis would run the show team on Derek Carr week 1 before the Saints. So those are the reps that quarterback gets. He's actually running the Saints plays and the other team's plays.
Oh, okay. So it's okay, got it. As far as there's going to be some churn. There's always churn here after cuts. Teams cut people, teams trade people right before they cut them, things like that. What positions do you see us adding to?
Offensive line and safety. Thank you for your call, Randy. I think it's offensive line and safety. I mean, last year, Vrabel made – I don't know if he made this comment publicly or not, but Vrabel was convinced that there was not going to be a tackle that was going to be released that was better than Petit Ferrer. Now, I disagree because I don't think Petit Ferrer is very good, but he was arguing that, there's nobody that's going to be better than this guy or that guy. Well, right now, their starting right tackle is Chris Hubbard. And I think that while there may not be a starting tackle that is released that's better than Chris Hubbard, I think there may be backup tackles that are released that are better than Jalen Duncan, which right now is what you may be looking at as your swing tackle. And they can't have that. So I think you're going to see offensive line, especially tackle, is someplace that I think you'll see the Titans maybe make a claim or two. I think safety, where Dane Cruikshank with the Jets or somebody like that could come available that Vrabel trusts, that he could add to the group, because right now it's Hooker and Byard, and that's pretty much it. And so it wouldn't surprise me if the Titans made a move there. And then obviously, kicker. We shouldn't forget about that one. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The punt returner battle. Who's going to be the punt returner? Remember, when Vrabel said, Rand, go get us a returner. And unless DeAndre Hopkins is returning punts, which he won't be, they didn't. I think it's a 50-50 battle at this point, and I think I know who the two guys are. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And let me tell all the fine folks to tune in this Saturday for the return of Vanderbilt football. We will be live tomorrow at Vanderbilt. Coach Clark Lee will join us. Candace Lee, the AD, will join us on the program as we'll be live from Vandy as they start this season on Saturday, 6:30 at home against Hawaii with pregame beginning at 5 o'clock. And you can hear all the coverage on the 102.5 The Game app and theGameNashville.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey folks, Joe Rexo here. I want you to know Twin Peaks is the place for your fantasy football draft party. Their draft party package gives league commissioners and its members an elevated, easy experience along with scenic views. At Twin Peaks, your draft party package includes a draft board, player stickers, a $50 bonus commissioner card, a $5 bonus card per league member, and a premium table reservation with Wi-Fi. Get to Twin Peaks this year for your fantasy football draft party. Locations in Madison and Cool Springs.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McCabe, and I have been telling you about PhD weight loss for a few months now. Dr. Ashley Lucas created this program, and the best part about it is my program is going to be different than your program because we are all different people, and it's tailor-made just for you. I have weekly coaching sessions with Rachel. She keeps me in line and also has adjusted the program as we've gone, and now I'm down 25 pounds since I have been on PhD weight loss. You can do that too, but remember, we're all different, and that's okay. Those weekly one-on-one coaching sessions are important. Customized meal plans. You can use their food, which I like their food. 85% is provided to you if you choose to. Or you can use your food, and they will tell you how to do that. And they'll tweak your program as you go along. Right now, check this out. This is the best part of their program. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Go to myphdweightloss.com to learn more. Again, that is myphdweightloss.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types of towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
He's done a great job sticking around, contributing to this team without spending much time on the 53. How's a guy like that break through now, given opportunity with some injuries?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where he can line up at any different spot. He's been a punt returner for us. He'll get some opportunities to do that in the game on Friday. He's reliable, dependable, and has been we talked about just what he's done when he's been here on the practice squad as far as the amount of volume that he's had to take over the course of a couple years in practice, just playing safety, playing receiver, playing safety, playing receiver, because that's what we needed. And so, you're going to get a good day, honest day's work from Mason, and I think we all appreciate that. And he's got a great attitude. He's fun to be around.
There you go. That was Vrabel talking about Mason Kinsey. And the thing about Mason Kinsey is it feels like he's been on the team every training camp for like the last how many years? 6 years, it feels like Mason Kinsey's been on the team in some capacity or another during training camp. And then he always gets cut, and then he's always on the practice squad. And I kept telling people that Mason Kinsey's only shot to make the 53-man roster was going to be if something happened to Kyle Phillips, because Kinsey can go in and play the slot just like Phillips, and he knows the playbook just like Phillips, and he can return punts. I would say just like Phillips, but I'm not convinced Phillips can do that yet. But he can return punts. And so that would be the only way that he could make the team. Now, they've tried other people out there at punt returner, too. Eric Garrer has tried out back there. Amani Hooker got a try last year against Buffalo and fumbled a punt. And so, punt returner, we talk about kicker and joke about that, but we can also go through all the punt returners that the Titans have had over like the last 8 years since they kept trying Adoree Jackson back out there and could never get him to be good in spite of the fact that he should have been. Like, we can go through that list too. But it won't be Kyle Phillips because he's hurt. So to me, it's between two people. It's between Mason Kinsey and Kearis Jackson. Now, my gut tells me that the Titans probably think they can get both guys down to the practice squad, which means that they can release them. And then get them back on the practice squad and then elevate somebody to return punts against the Saints. The problem is in the off chance that they can't, then who's going to return punts? So I think one of those two guys is going to make the team. Either Mason Kinsey or Kearis Jackson. Now, Kearis Jackson, when Phillips got hurt the other day in Minnesota, he got the opportunities returning punts. And I don't think that had anything to do with Kinsey. I think the Titans know what Kinsey is as a punt returner, so they wanted to put other guys back there, like Eric Garrer, to have them return punts to see what they would look like in a game-like setting where you have to look up at the roof in Minnesota and you have to judge it and catch it and run with it and call the fair catch and things like that. And I actually think Kearis Jackson's pretty good. But then again, the Titans trust Kinsey. So there's kind of a pro and a con between each guy, which is Kearis Jackson probably has more talent. Mason Kinsey is more reliable. When it comes to if I have to use these guys at receiver, which could happen. Right now, Treylon Burks is down, Kyle Phillips is down, and we saw the Titans throwing to Khalif Raymond and Nick Westbrook-Akina at the end of a Ravens playoff game a couple of years ago. We saw them throwing to Racey McMath against the Steelers. It's all possible. I think Kearis Jackson is the better receiver, but I think Mason Kinsey, again, because he plays the slot, is probably more of a sure thing because he knows the offense since he's been here for about 7 training camps. So I really think that that's another battle to watch between those two guys. I think that they have decided that Eric Garrer, like that he is, well, I don't know what they've decided, but I've decided after watching Eric Garrer try to return punts that that's really not an option unless it's absolutely an emergency. And so I think it's going to come down to these two guys. And I really thought going into the week, because Kearis Jackson also got hurt in the Minnesota game, I really thought that it was just going to be Kinsey. And the one thing that Kinsey has is he's actually returned punts for the Titans in an NFL game, 2021. He was back there returning punts for the Titans against the Kansas City Chiefs. And so he's done it before. And, man, that was 2 years ago. But I do think it's hilarious that the Titans set out in the offseason and they thought, you know what, we need to go fill the punt returner. And here we are right before the first game. And because the guy that failed at it last year and got hurt again, that now you're back to Mason Kinsey, a guy who's been on your practice squad for like the last 4 years. But maybe he'll end up getting it. And then I do think Kyrus Jackson's got some real talent. And I was enjoying the back end of the wide receiver battle between him and Reggie Roberson and Trayshawn Harrison and Racey McMath. And now it does feel like the Titans have had injuries, so McMath will probably find a way to make the team. And even if he doesn't, they'll sneak at least one or two of those guys in the practice squad. But Jackson is the better player than Kinsey, in my opinion. Kinsey, though, is probably right now somebody that I would assume Vrabel would consider more reliable. TD will join us coming up next for the TD Power Hour. His final thoughts from training camp ahead of tomorrow's New England game. We'll get to that next. Of course, TD always joins us here on the program on a Thursday, so we'll do that coming up next. Silly Underdog picks are back. Make your picks today at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. As week 0 of college football kicks off this weekend, Silly Underdog picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and by Superbook Sports. And you can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. And our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code The Game.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road, 6 to 9.
Big-time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe, 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace, 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch. Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company, 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
It's time to let your voice be heard. Nashville is headed to a runoff in the mayoral race on Thursday, September 14th. Stand up and be counted. Cromwell Media reminds you to get out and vote for the future of our city.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board. Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. TD Power Hour, 3 o'clock on a Thursday, which means TD is with us. TD, how are you?
I'm doing really well, man. It's smoking out there, but good news. Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden will get their numbers retired. I can't help but smile about that.
Was that not known until now? Is that a new development with the Mets?
It came out today. Yeah, Steve Cohen, God bless him, man. There were only 4 Mets jerseys retired before he took over. And
can I guess the 4?
Go ahead.
Tom Seaver.
Okay.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
Piazza's not retired, is he?
Yes, Piazza.
Piazza. That leaves me with one more Met. Mookie Wilson?
Not Mookie Wilson.
Keith Hernandez.
That was done last year. Keith Hernandez.
Oh, okay.
And Howard Johnson, who is a
yeah.
local.
Man, John Franco didn't get his number retired?
Johnny Baseball did not get his number retired.
Man.
Willie Mays.
Oh, well, duh. Yeah. Well, the Mets needed some positivity this year, and so I'm glad that you guys were able to enjoy.
Hey, listen, man, you got to listen. The small victories, man, you got to find them. And of course, Jackie Robinson, his jersey's was retired also. So,
TD, let's start with your final kind of evaluation of training camp. Now that it's all said and done, and everybody gets back to the normal, Vrabel doesn't let anybody see anything that matters. Future that we have in front of us here.
Well, I think the question remains the offensive line, right? That right side of it, that's really what a lot of people need to see. That's just as a group, that unit, how have they gelled together? And that's something, remember, I asked Daniel Bronsko about. I've talked to Coach Hardelang about that too, and just when do you know that you guys are gelled as a unit? I think that's really the key to everything, above all else, right? DeAndre Hopkins coming in, he is the man. You already see he hasn't dropped off. He's still, in my opinion, right there, top 10 receivers. I don't think that I can make a list without having him in there. But that doesn't matter if Tannehill doesn't get time to throw the football. So it starts in the trenches, and I think it's interesting with this team. On one side of the ball, they are ferocious in the trenches, right, with Simmons and Tart and Autry and all those guys, Arden Key and Harold Landry. But on the other side, it's like, okay, there's a big question. That's the big thing for me, is just the opposites in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
What do you think about – let's stay with the offense here. Mm-hmm. What do you think about kind of the way it's shaken out with the injuries? Now, I don't know if the Chigakonkwo injury is serious or not. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but that could be something at play. It does feel like Burks will be back, but Kyle Phillips was getting a lot of time in the slot with the ones, and now he's going to be out for a while. How do we see this shaking out? And does this mean more passes for other guys, or does this mean more passes for DeAndre?
Yeah, I think this means more passes for DeAndre. And look, man, everyone laughed at Rand Carthon for taking Tajay Spears in the third round. And it's going to be more targets for him and more touches for him. And if I'm Rand, I'm queuing up that music. Kumo D, he had a song. It was called How You Like Me Now. And that's the music I'm queuing up, because I think Tajay Spears is going to start the season on fire and be a James White type of receiver, if you remember him, with the Patriots. So I think that's going to help. It's that third receiver part of it, that slot. The good thing is they have an assortment of guys. Burks is – I don't think Burks' injury is as bad as some may think. I believe strongly that he's going to be here for the opener. And I'll just say I believe he's going to be playing in the opener. But you look at that, you look at Chris Moore and Hopkins. These are three guys that you can move all over, and the Saints have Marshawn Lattimore. So if they want to attach Lattimore cat coverage to Hopkins, you can move him around and find advantages, by putting him in the slot. So I think, not having Phillips is going to be tough because a lot of those third down situations, and he's a chain mover and obviously the returner side of things. But I think as long as Burks is back, I think they'll be okay until Phillips is able to play.
Do you foresee them, and the Saints are probably a good example of this with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, but Derrick Henry was a better running back at that Saints part. Like when Kamara was there at the end of Ingram's run with the Saints, I would think that Derrick is probably a better running back now than Ingram was then. But, with those guys like McCaffrey, with Kamara, they move that running back out of the backfield. Do you see the Titans moving Spears out of the backfield before the snap at a receiver position in the formation? Because I'm not sure we've seen that in the training or in the preseason, but we have seen the explosiveness of Tajay Spears in the preseason.
I think they absolutely can do that without a doubt. And that's something that was underrated about Spears, among other things, is his pass-catching ability. So I don't see any issue with that. I mean, you could go 22 personnel, right? 2 backs, 2 tight ends, and give an empty look. You know what I mean? Even, or you could go a spread look. So absolutely, that's something you could do with Spears, and I think he's fully capable of it. And it's a matchup that I think would work for them.
What do we know about Okonkwo's injury, and what do we think about the depth of the tight end position beyond Okonkwo? Because there's guys there, but there's really no household name there.
Yeah, Okonkwo, before he went in, he was trying to stretch his leg out a little bit to loosen up, but he did end up going in. He didn't practice on Wednesday either. I'm not sure exactly how severe it is. I don't know if he plays tomorrow or not, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure there. But as far as the depth is concerned, look, this is a good opportunity for Alizé Mack to make a case for a roster spot. Kevin Rader is a guy who he had a nice catch from Will Levis and for a touchdown indoors on Wednesday. So that's a good thing. You got those two. You got Josh Wiley, obviously, is a guy they're continuing to bring along. And I think he needs to see as much action as possible so you could go ahead and get him acclimated. So there are some things that they could do as far as guys behind Okonkwo. I really don't think it's necessary for Okonkwo to play tomorrow, but it is absolutely necessary for Alizé Mack. And don't forget about Thomas Odukoya. That dude, I went back and watched a couple of the runs against the Vikings. Hey, man. And I talked to him about it. He said he wanted to make it his business to be aggressive in the run game. And when I mentioned that to Mike Vrabel and asked him about that, he smiled and said, he's not exactly the guy that you're going to have catching a whole lot of passes, but you look at his body, he's long, he's thick, he's sturdy. And that is a way that he can impact. And he's a guy, too, that you can't forget about because they could attach him at the end of the line of scrimmage, to the tackle and let him help out that way, which is something they're going to have to do, come September 10th against Cam Hayward. You're going to have to do that against him. I always get it too. Not Cam Hayward, Cam Johnson.
Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan. You have to do that. But you would also – he gives you that H-back option. So I think that's what helps, with those three, that versatility.
So I think Raiders made the team.
Me too.
I think that he's a Vrabel player. He's a special teamer. He's a tight end. He can catch. He's kind of like Michael Pruitt, in my opinion.
Man, that's a guy that should still be around.
I agree.
He's
the guy that Now I know he broke his ankle or whatever it was, and that was a gruesome injury. But there are certain guys that, like Dontrell Hilliard, for the most part, where it's. Like, I wonder, what did that guy do to not be here at the league minimum or whatever it may be? And that's how I feel. Like, Deontay Foreman, why did they not keep him around? Same with Michael Pruitt. I do like Rader. I guess the thing that bothers me, and I put this in my camp observations, TD, is just, and this is really on both sides of the ball, the Titans, I feel comfortable at most of the starting positions. I mean, right tackle I'm a little uncomfortable with, and I'm a little uncomfortable right now in the slot. But it's like one injury to a position outside of the defensive line. And, there's certain guys on that defensive line that, knock on wood, can't get hurt. And it's like now all of a sudden you take Christian Fulton off the field and Trey Avery goes in the game. And that is a significant drop-off.
Depth is absolutely an issue, and that's something that, of all teams, the way that they've been, I don't want to say cursed, but the way that they've been struck with the injury bug, this is one team that should understand the need for depth. But to their credit, they go out and they'll look at Andrew Adams last year, look at Mario Edwards last year. Before the season started, DeMarcus Johnson, they bring DeMarcus Walker, they bring him in, and he 7 or so sacks, parlays that into a big deal with the Bears. So they have a way of finding guys, and that's something, to their credit. But, yeah, man, the depth is obviously an issue.
What do you think about the kicker position, and what do you think about Michael Badgley? Was that one practice the other day? Was that enough for you to say, okay, well, here's a airport car service if you need them. Maybe they're the guys you used last time when they shipped you out of town, but maybe try that. What do you think of Badgley and really his chances of making the team and where they stand in the kicker hunt?
I'm never one to rush to judgment. I want to see a few things, and lo and behold, watching him the second day of practice, he was 10 out of 11. His one miss was like 53 yards out. He hit a 51-yarder, I believe it was, and everything else, from 48 to 47. They're doing a lot of 33-yarders, which, as you know, is the extra point. So I think he's a guy that should remain there until other teams start making their cuts. There's kicking competitions. You look at New England. They're coming here. You get a first-hand look at some of those guys. So there's a few competitions there to watch, and I think you just see what you have in Badgley, but until then, there's a good chance that someone else could be the kicker this year.
So I was looking it up. When he kicked in week 1 of 2021 for the Titans, he had 3 seasons in the NFL. Now he's got 5 seasons in the NFL, which means that he would technically be a vested veteran. And I can't imagine the Titans opening the season with him as a vested veteran on the roster, because that guarantees his contract.
Yeah, and for sure you don't want to have that extra money, and especially not knowing for sure that he's locked down the job.
And so I think whoever doesn't win the job in New Orleans is who the Titans are going to sign.
Makes sense.
Unless Sean Payton trades for Will Lutz, which I wouldn't rule out either. TD is with us. Training camp thoughts, 615-737-1025. We'll hit your phones at the end of the hour, as we always do. The backup quarterback battle. How does TD see it shaking out? What does TD expect in terms of who will play and what's on the line tomorrow night? We'll do that next. 615-737-1025 here on Stillman and Company. Nashville's best deal of the week is for Bavarian Beer House at Opry Mills. Bavarian Beer House is Nashville's only authentic German beer hall, and it's a place full of fun, food, music, and most importantly, beer. Enjoy traditional German bratwurst, schnitzel, giant pretzels, and more. Go to theGameNashville.com/deals now to get a $50 gift card for $25 to Bavarian Beer House while supplies last.
It's a long summer, but don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
knocked down in front, rebound, and the score!
On your home for Smashville, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet?
Hey guys, it's Mike at Newton Nissan in Gallatin. As these summer days get longer and warmer, we're offering lower oil change prices for our customers. From now until August 31st, you can get your oil change on your Nissan for only $49.95. Our service center offers the convenience of comfortable seating, premium coffee drinks, snacks, and pretty Nissans in the showroom for you to look at. And we even have convenient Saturday hours, so you don't have to enter up a workday or a summer fun day with the kiddos. You can easily make your service appointment online at newtonnissan.com/schedule-service. That's newtonnissan.com/schedule-service. Valid for Nissan vehicles only. Up to 5 quarts of oil. For more than 5 quarts, just add $5. If you've got a larger truck like a Titan, the price is $54.95. No charge for air conditioning while you wait. Also, we'd love to show you some options for you to trade up to a new vehicle with a full warranty. Quick and easy while you wait.
Calling all Nashville Sounds baseball fans. You know that 312 Pizza Company in Germantown is the best place to be before or after a Sounds game, but this season, it gets even better. Stop by 312 Pizza Company before or after any Nashville Sounds home game with your day of ticket and get a free old-style beer. That's right, you get a free old-style beer from 312 Pizza just for watching Sounds baseball. Only redeemable with purchase. See you at 312 Pizza Company all baseball season long. 312 Pizza Company, a proud sponsor of your Nashville Sounds.
Trust your pets with Cottle Vet Clinic in East Nashville in the heart of Inglewood for compassionate care and your fur baby's optimal health. From vaccinations to health checkups with on-site pharmacy, teeth cleaning, grooming, and state-of-the-art surgical procedures, trust Cottle Vet, now offering boarding. Visit CottleVetClinic.com to learn more. We know you love your pet. And at Cottle Vet Clinic, pets are family.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Have you seen Will handle that this week? His first kind of brush with injury as a pro. How's he kind of handled staying involved?
Yeah, I think he's done a good job. He's seemingly stayed involved. He's engaged in the meetings. I think he obviously engaged during practices and then learning from the other reps that we've had out there. So kind of same deal with him.
There you go. That was Tannehill yesterday talking about Will Levis recovering from whatever injury it was that he had. It seemed like a very minor injury. TD's with us for the TD Power Hour. So, TD, we've seen Malik Willis now play essentially a game and a half. We've seen Levis play a half of a game. We've seen him in practice. How would you handicap the backup quarterback race, and what do you expect tomorrow night in terms of what that will be towards deciding who ends up backing up Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah, I think right now that Malik Willis has an edge. I don't see how you could not say that, but it's not a wide edge. It's not a large margin of separation, and that's something, unfortunately for Willis's part, he wasn't able to go in and do that on Saturday against the Vikings, but I still think he remains ahead of Levis. There's progressions there that he's made. He's been able to throw it more touch, throw it more anticipation, the operation. He still has to work on taking care of the football. Yeah. And a lot of people point out that fumble that he had against the Bears. Well, let me tell you something. He got rocks, and that happens, okay? The interception against the Vikings, it's a throw that you can't have, but the good thing with that, he explained it. He understood, okay, the linebacker, it was the right read, and that the linebacker turned his back to him, and he was supposed to carry that vertical route, and you had that in-breaking route coming underneath it. That's typically a throw that, hey, look, you're triggered to make. That's what you go to. But good play by the linebacker. Guess what? He gets paid to play football too, and sometimes guys will make a good play. But the thing is with Will Levis that I really, really, really like is this guy in the red zone. I don't know what it is. And I asked him, and he couldn't explain it either, but he acknowledged that something clicks down there. He gets inside that 20, he's money. You know what I mean? He had a beautiful throw yesterday. He dropping the bucket right over the shoulder to Trayshawn Harrison in the corner of the end zone. Then he hit Kevin Rader. When that dude gets hot, he's like Reggie Miller. You know what I mean? Like Reggie Miller in the fourth quarter, start getting hot. That's how Will Levis is. So you got to like that. I really just, when I look at Will Levis, I always say, man, God made a quarterback. That's what it would look like. So there's a lot to like about him. He's working on layering the football as far as, that just beyond the linebacker before the DB type of throw. I think he's just going to get better and better, but I still feel Malik Willis has the edge. And let me say this. I don't know what the heck Trevor Maddox was talking about when he said Malik Willis looks like he doesn't belong in the league. That is just absolute nonsense. And Trevor, much respect. That one right there, though, no, man, I can't get down with that. Malik Willis absolutely belongs in the league. And it's just interesting to me how we see a guy like that and say that. But then, you know, a Nathan Peterman is expected to get chance after chance after chance.
Well,
I just wonder, why is that?
I don't want to speak for Trevor, but I don't think he thinks Peterman can play in the league either.
Well, it's just an example. Like, I'm sure there are other guys. And, like, you can't tell me that there's 64 people on this planet better than Malik Willis. Like, I'm not going to believe that.
So I guess I'm a little torn on this. And I have Levis.
Torn on what?
On not the, you know, like 64 people better than Malik. Right? Like, and I look at Nick Mullins as an example.
Just a couple weeks ago you were talking. Go ahead.
Well, let's use Nick Mullins as the example. Like, Nick Mullins is a backup. Like, he is the definition of a backup quarterback, right?
Right.
But if he has to go in for Minnesota, like, maybe they could win a game with him, with Cousins out. Crazier things have happened. Quincy Carter got to the playoffs one year. So, again, is Malik a better backup quarterback than Nick Mullins?
Nick Mullins has been in the league how many years?
Probably like 4 or 5.
He came into the league 2018. And this is
5.
What we have to stop doing, damn it. There's so much of a rush to judgment on a player. Malik, look, this is his second year that he's entering in the NFL. It was noted that this dude was a project coming into the league. I don't understand why all of a sudden, okay, he can't develop into doesn't belong in the league? Really? Do you know that at Liberty he didn't even call plays in the huddle? He would look to the sideline and they're holding a picture of Steven Seagal and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that's how he knows what the play is. He wasn't even calling play. Do you not understand that last year coming into the league, he barely even took snaps from under center? So now this year, you're seeing the progression. It's going to be a different learning curve for Malik Willis than other quarterbacks. And that's
I'm thinking about it more so like the growth is, to me, not even questionable. I mean, I did not think that Malik could be what Malik is right now, and I think Malik has made humongous strides. But as a backup quarterback, like if I'm just looking at him as your backup quarterback, how does he compare to the other backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now? Like, if Tannehill were to get hurt, knock on wood, in one of these games, and he were to go in, how would he compare to the other backup quarterbacks in the league?
Obviously, there's plenty that are better. But I think with him, there are things that you can do. Mm-hmm. The main thing, above all else, can he not turn the football over?
That's it.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. To me, like, if Malik didn't turn the ball over, and I know it's easy to say if this, if that, but if he hits Wiley in the chest on that Chicago drive.
Yeah, you're right, but you know what else?
Wiley's
getting paid to play football too.
I mean, Wiley
and
is
he'll tell you, and he even
for a reason.
He said it after the game. He said, I should have caught that. Sometimes you got to make a play for your quarterback. Everything's not always going to be perfect. Should that throw have been there? Absolutely. You're not. I'm not going to deny that though.
That's the thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to Willis is if I put him in a game, in a regular season game, and this doesn't get brought up as much either because I think Josh Dobbs' biggest problem when he was the quarterback here for the 2 games he played was Dobbs didn't take care of the football, and the Titans lost because of the interception on the sideline, and then, whether or not you want to say that was a fumble or an incomplete pass, they ruled it a fumble. And those 2 turnovers cost the Titans the game.
Yeah. That fumble, like, what are you going to do?
I think and then Josh Allen did the same thing in the playoff game against the Bengals, and just miraculously, because the game would have been over if they had called it a fumble. They called it an incomplete pass. I kept thinking about Levis taking care of the football, and I know he had the 1 interception at the end of the game, but that was 10 seconds to go, And I don't hold the fumble that you brought up in the Bears game against Malik, I don't hold the interception from Levis against him.
Not at all. Not at all. That's one of those, hey, look, you got to take a shot. Hey, if it gets picked off, okay, but, I mean, at least you got to take a shot. I don't hold that against him at all.
I do. That's why I think tomorrow night's important, and I would give the lion's share of the snaps to Levis tomorrow just because he didn't get him in the Viking game. And that is, if he can protect the football better than Willis, or that I feel like he can protect it better than Willis with the interceptions, then I think that may give him a pretty big edge as far as trying to decipher who would be the better backup to go in a game for Tannehill.
Look, I'll say this. Right now, I would say Willis is the better option. Right now, I will say that. Now, if Levis goes out and has a productive game and he's effective and he takes care of the football, yeah, you know what? There's a chance that he could overtake him. I think right now, but a lot of this is dependent upon Friday. And that's why all these people say, oh, man, thank God the preseason is over. I hate preseason games. But – you know, it's funny because on July 10th, they'll be saying, oh, I can't wait for football. Now, a couple weeks later, you're like, oh, I can't wait. Well, what is it? And the other thing is, for guys, and it's disrespectful to guys like whether it's Colton Dow or Eric Guerra or Mike Brown, Shyheim Carter, guys that are playing for a job, is disrespectful. And I love what John Harbaugh said the other day, that he doesn't have respect for people that look at it like that, because it's still guys out there fighting and clawing for a job. And here it is right here, Will Levis, Malik Willis. A decision can't truly be made until Friday's game.
No,
the backup quarterback position.
I think Vrabel would like to have the fourth game with these guys.
I wouldn't mind having it either, to be honest with you, because there's so many. Look at the receiver position. What are you going to do there? Look at there's so many positions.
Punt return.
Punt return. That's where Eric Guerra, he has a nice inside track there. But yeah.
You think so? I think it's between Kinsey and Kieris Jackson.
Guerra is another one that they've mentioned. Coach Ackerman mentioned him as well. And, Kieris Jackson and Kinsey, that's one spot. Remember, Guerra, I think, look, so you go DBs, like corners, I think Guerra is the final corner to make the roster. You know what I mean? You got Fulton, McCreary, Murphy Bunning, Trey Avery, Eric Guerra. I think that's how it is. And you got the buy one, get one free special with Elijah Molden, playing both, and Shyheim Carter playing both. So, I think they keep 5 corners with the understanding that Carter and Molden could play nickel as well.
What do you do Friday night in terms of, if you're Vrabel, what would your plan with the quarterbacks be? I mean, would you play Tannehill, or would you look at Tannehill snaps and say, you know what, no, I need those snaps for Levis and Willis? How would you go about divvying them up? Do you factor in how much more Malik played in the Viking game and how little Levis, since he didn't play, how would you do it?
Yeah, I'm focusing on that competition between Levis and Willis. And so I'm not playing Tannehill. I don't know that why does Tannehill absolutely have to play? I don't think he absolutely has to. He's a pro. He's been in this league for a long time. I don't see why he can't get ready without the preseason.
Plus, what's he going to get out of 9 snaps and then take 2 weeks off?
Boom. Exactly. And you know Hopkins and those guys aren't playing out there. So, you know what? I would start Levis, frankly, and I would play Levis. I would go, probably I would hope to get, 60 to 65 snaps, and I would go, 35-30. Like, I would give Levis the opportunity to start, get into a groove like Willis had last week, and I would allow him to play most of the snaps.
I almost think it comes down to, how Vrabel sees the competition, whereas if he sees it as, okay, I know what I have in Malik, let me get the same thing that I got. I could see Vrabel going almost the whole game with Levis just to get an idea of what he would look like in the groove. But then if Malik is going to be the backup, he needs the reps. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to why they need the 4th game.
Yeah, I wouldn't go almost the whole game with Levis. I don't think he wanted, or anybody wanted, Willis to go the whole game last week. Mm-hmm. You do want these guys to have an opportunity to compete. And as you mentioned, whoever gets the job, they need the game reps. So that way, they could come in and if they have to, be able to execute the offense and do those things that a backup's required to do.
We'll get your phones in here at the end of the hour, as we always do. TD, we need your take on the special teams. The state of the Titans special teams. We'll do that coming up next on the TD Power Hour. Twice daily. You know I love stopping at Twice Daily. And when it's so hot outside like it is now, you know they got the ice-cold drinks there. They got the big fountain, and those fountain drinks are cheap. And you know they got every kind of water. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a water. I'll go in there, get a Propel just because he's got the little taste water with it. Whatever. You know they've got it. Download the Twice Daily app today and join their loyalty program to unlock special discount savings and so much more. It pays to be a member with Twice Daily, where you'll earn points and save money with every visit. And get what you crave at Twice Daily. They've got the made-to-order sandwiches, bakery, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I got to stay away from the bakery because I see those donuts, fresh donuts every morning. I'm like, I do not need those. I'm on PhD. I do not need those at all. Buy any hot dog piled high with your choice of toppings, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, and your choice of 20-ounce Coke or Pepsi products for only $5 with the app. Offer ends August 28th. Twice Daily. Fresh all day.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. And ooh, that gooey caramel pie tastes like summertime at Old Charlie's.
The sweet, sweet sounds of this song are in honor of the sweet, sweet news that free Pie Wednesdays are back at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, have some fun. O'Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. I've been on the program now all summer, and I'm approaching the 30-pound mark for weight loss. That's right. We're getting so close. It's been wonderful, and I'm excited each and every morning to get started with my personalized PhD nutrition program that my coach put together for me. I appreciate the fact that PhD Weight Loss hasn't overwhelmed my life, but it's enhanced it. From feeling better about myself in pictures to having increased energy, PhD is great for me, and the program is simple. In fact, we've recently tweaked it so that we can bust through that plateau. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. They've got the coaching, the program, and their guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans, online at myphdweightloss.com.
City Winery Nashville presents Paula Poundstone live in concert on Friday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Iconic comedian Paula Poundstone is known for her smart, observational humor and legendary spontaneous wit. Paula is the star of several HBO specials, including Cats, Cops and Stuff, and Paula Poundstone Goes to Harvard. Paula is a regular panelist on NPR's comedy news quiz, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. She's heard weekly on her successful comedy podcast, Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. Don't miss Paula Poundstone and get your tickets at citywinery.com.
They find fight.
Jared, you're
How do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
But how do you know that, though? But how do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe, presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What was it about him that on the tape that made you want to bring him in?
We'd had Michael here before, and he's got the next crack at it. I'm sure we'll look at other ones too.
That does not sound like a ringing endorsement from Mike Vrabel for their new kicker, Michael Badgley. TD is with us for the TD Power Hour. TD, the Titans special teams. We don't know who's going to be the kicker. We don't know who's going to be the punt returner. We don't know who's going to be the kickoff returner, although I think it's probably going to be Tajay Spears, but we don't know. And even the punting has not been great so far from Ryan Stonehouse in the preseason. You know special teams has a nice little reserved spot in my craw. What do we make of the Titans special teams so far?
I'll tell you what. You ever see that movie, The Incredibles?
Yes.
You know the little guy, Buddy Pine?
Yes.
How he had, he was hell-bent on getting back at Mr. Incredible? That's you and Mike Vrabel, man. It is so hilarious. You will not let go of that interaction there at the press conference back in February or whatever that was. So every time you bring up the special teams, I laugh at that. But the punt return situation, I understand them not addressing that because Kyle Phillips, and I know he had the muff punt. His first punt was a pretty good one, punt return, but that doesn't get mentioned. I think if you look at his history, he was really good at doing that at UCLA, and they drafted him to be their punt returner. Now, whether or not he's able to turn that around once he comes back from the injury is something that we'll have to see. In the meantime, there is a bit of a situation there. They have to find somebody to do it. The kick return, I think that's going to be between Tajay Spears and Julius Chestnut has done it before. Hassan Haskins was the guy they had do it, but obviously we know his situation, the injury and the off-the-field stuff. The kicker, that's the one I have the main problem with. And for me, when Jacksonville was able to swoop in and get – what was the guy's name that got released?
They traded Riley Patterson to the Lions for a 2026 conditional 7th-round pick.
Right, but the guy that they signed.
Brandon McManus. In my opinion,
when he hit the market, you got to go get him. Because it's not often that you could get a proven kicker, you know what I mean, that he's a veteran. He has a history of being solid with his kicks. He's not old, you know what I mean, so he'll be around for a bit. That's a move that you absolutely have to make. And the fact that they didn't, I think that, could come back to bite them a bit, So that's where they went wrong. And with Caleb Shudak and Trey Wolf, and those guys weren't it. And you could tell in camp, there's – Wolf had drive on his leg, but the accuracy was all over the place, and Shudak didn't have any drive. So they definitely dropped the ball with that, and like I said, McManus should have been the one they brought in. Nevertheless, punting is another situation that you mentioned, and I don't think punting is going to be fine. Ryan Stonehouse, you know the number. Mike Vrabel told you, 44.3 net punt, third in the NFL. I wouldn't worry about Stonehouse and his punting. Now, one thing he can do a little bit better, and I saw him doing it in Minnesota, you want hang time with that distance. You don't want to outkick the coverage, right? And that's something that he's working to do, as well as the directional side of things. You want to be able to coffin corner punt and those type of things, directional, land it, in different spots. And that's an area for improvement for Stonehouse. But look, man, the results are the results from last year. I don't have a problem with the punter.
The thing that worries me about punting is more so like, I mean, Stonehouse can bang the ball probably better than I've ever seen anybody in my life. Like, I mean, we're talking like Shane Leckler, but there was a punt the other day from like midfield where he just knocked the crap out of it and it lands halfway in the end zone. And like, those are the things that when it comes to a punter winning games, I mean, I need the punter to put that ball down in the 15. Now, if it ends up rolling into the end zone after it hits at the 15, there's nothing he can really do about that. Yeah. But I need that ball inside that 20, and I worry that, just like with Will Levis layering the football, the speed is not the problem for Will Levis. The power is not the problem with Will Levis. Taking a little bit off is the problem. And I was trying to think in my head last year, did Stonehouse have any of those like Brett Kern specials where he just killed a punt at the 6? And I couldn't think of one. I'm sure he did, but that's something that they really need back in their game.
Yeah, that absolutely is something that they need. That's something that they need, and that's why, Dean Pease, who was at practice yesterday, it was great to see Coach P. But you remember what he used to say about Brett Kern, man. That's the MVP of the defense. Because how many times did, he pin a team back and put the defense in a favorable situation so that the offense could get the ball back in position to score? And that's where punters win. Like, those are those hidden yards that you're able to get. And that's something that, Mike Vrabel teams have been really good at finding. And with Stonehouse, they have to revisit that and find a way to get back to it.
Is there any element of coaching that goes into kicking? Because I do think that, like, Shudak and Wolf, it seemed pretty obvious to me pretty quickly that they weren't that good in training camp. Shouldn't that have been something that they figured out during the offseason program so that they could try to bring somebody else in here? Or – and then when it comes to, I think they're probably going to cut Badgley before the start of the season and then sign somebody else. And so that guy will show up on a Wednesday, and then he'll be kicking in New Orleans on a Sunday. And I would like some time with the kicker and the holder and the snapper. And then all these other guys have gone places to kick, and I just wonder,
But have all the other guys gone places to kick?
Not all, but most. Santos, Suckup.
Well, Joseph. We know Suckup. We know the situation with Suckup. It was
an
injury
situation. He didn't have a fastball anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, it was an injury situation. He wasn't back yet, and so they didn't have the time to wait. So they moved on. Greg Joseph, look, let's not act like Greg Joseph went somewhere and became Morton Anderson. He just solidified the job last year. They were talking to some of the Vikings people. They were legit going to move on from him.
Yeah, and then he hit the 61-yarder
to
beat the Giants.
Right, and then he has a connection with some, but whatever. But I'm not going to act like these guys went other. Santos has been consistent. Okay, that's one out of three. You know what I mean? I'm not going to act like everybody went, because Ryan Santoso, what is he doing? I don't know. You know what I mean? So
he does have a Super Bowl ring though.
Hey, listen. Okay.
He was on the practice squad for the Rams that won it a couple years ago.
Did he have anything to do with it? No. So that's the thing. And I mean, look, I don't know that Shudak and Wolf were missing everything in the time, leading up to training camp or OTAs or whatever. We don't know. And there's only so much you could do anyway. So how much are you going to be able to gather that those guys are not the one, that you shouldn't give them the chance to compete for the job? I don't know, but I still think that they had an opportunity to solidify it and didn't, and I just wonder what it was that made them believe so much in those two guys to not solidify it with a 32-year-old punter named Brandon McManus. That's all, and it just that's what my question would be.
We'll get to the questions for TD. We'll do that next. 615-737-1025, the final training camp edition, although next week is not a game week because they took out the fourth preseason game, so now next week is just a nothing week. But this is the final training camp edition of the TD Power Hour. We'll get to those phones next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Play ball!
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at Gwinnett.
He gloves, grabs, guns, gets him, and the Sounds win again.
Pre-game at 5:50.
Nashville Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
This summer, they are coming back.
You know where you are?
For you.
You're in the jungle, baby.
Guns N' Roses live. North America 2023. This Saturday night, Geodis Park. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Finally, back in North America. Don't miss Guns N' Roses.
Being value conscious and getting the most for your money is so important these days, and that's why it's more important than ever to shop at Genesis Diamonds, the undisputed value leader.
Part of the education at Genesis Diamonds is we explain to you how we travel the world and purchase our diamonds, how we buy in bulk, we pay cash for our diamonds so we can save every possible percent to save you money on your diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
There are no middlemen, there are no other wholesalers or dealers, so we cut out all of those extra added markups and pass those savings on to you.
When you combine that unmatched value with a totally no-pressure shopping experience, you know you're in the right place.
Because we do not work on commission, our sole purpose is to make sure you get exactly what you want. There's nothing in it for us personally, whether you spend $1,000 or $100,000.
That's why at Genesis, people often end up spending less than they had budgeted.
Our goal is to purely present you with options so you can choose exactly what you want.
The value you want, the experience you deserve. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Chevrolet in Russellville. The July 4th holiday might be over, but we're still thinking about how grateful we are to be living in a country where fireworks, I mean freedom, ring so loud. But we know gratitude needs actions to back it up. So we've created a military appreciation offer that will run year-round for all active duty, reserves, retirees, honorable discharges, and Gold Star family members. Our military appreciation everyday package will include a $500 grocery gift card, a prepaid maintenance package valued at $1,199, and an additional $500 rebate if you buy a new Chevy. Plus, we offer the convenience of shopping online using Newton FastPass, so that you don't have to travel to us until you're ready to pick up your new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit newtoncbr.com/military appreciation to learn more. That's newtoncbr.com/military appreciation.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, TD Power Hour. TD, do you want to hear me talk or do you just want the people?
Let's hear the people.
The people. Texter texts in and says, TD, what would you need to see from Will Levis on tomorrow night? Said Friday night, but I guess that is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night in order for him to win the job from Malik Willis.
Yeah, I think it's really just being a efficient operator of the offense. Don't turn the football over. Make some plays. Feel free to, get out the pocket and do some of the things that he was able to do at Kentucky. I think that's all. Just be a playmaker. That's what I would like to see from him and show what we've been talking about as far as that red zone excellence. So I definitely want to see him show that.
Can I just say, to add on to this, because I want your opinion more than anything,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people made up their mind about Levis before he was even drafted, one way or another. And I haven't made up my mind as far as what he's going to be because I have no idea. But, for a rookie quarterback, I think Levis is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's very good. And with what he's done, obviously, there's room for improvement, and we talked about it. But I think he's really good, and he's someone that has potential, and I just want to see it.
Ryan in Nashville says, TD, do you expect Caleb Murphy to make the roster? And is there a veteran pass rusher on the market that you would see the Titans envision signing after the final cuts?
Yeah, I think Caleb Murphy makes the roster. Absolutely. And that's something, Jared, if you remember, I said that before we even got to training camp. I said it back in OTAs that I believe he's going to be the undrafted free agent that makes the roster, and he's made a case for it. 3 sacks. You look at the way that he was able to get to the quarterback, that those 2 times against the Vikings, absolutely. So as far as a veteran, I don't know who is going to shake free. I mean, that's tough, but I believe that they have a sound group of 5 as is, to be honest with you.
I mean, Weaver is the 3rd outside backer, and he had 7 sacks last year. I mean, I don't think that they're in – like, when I'm thinking of the depth issues on the Titans, outside backer or pass rusher is not a position I think of. And I told somebody on Saturday with Caleb Murphy, I said he's Derek Roberson, but good. Derek Roberson was this undersized guy that got a bunch of sacks in college, and he was supposed to be able to get to the quarterback. And Roberson wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think Murphy is undersized, though. I think Murphy is just right. Now, he could put on some more, but I think he's just – look, man, the dude had 25 sacks. He knows how to get to the quarterback. And I think just he has more moves, in my opinion, too. I mean, you look at that second sack. He tried that speed rush on the outside, realized he was getting too deep. So what does he do? Spun back inside. Now, Mike Vrabel said he would like to see him tomahawk it and knock the ball out. But still, that was a really good rush that he had. And he sets the edge, too. Now, let's talk about that against the run. And he'll run down and make a tackle on the other side, kind of like Brandon Graham always does.
Well, if he didn't set the edge, he could have 50 sacks in a game, and he wouldn't make
That's
the
right.
team.
You got to earn the right.
Texter says, TD, I never hear anybody talking about this, but I find it odd that Danico Autry is entering the last year of his contract, and the Titans have not approached him, or at least we don't know about the Titans approaching him about an extension. Do you think the Titans should be getting ahead of this and talking to Danico Autry and trying to get him extended before the start of the season?
I don't think they have to do it now. I think you could see how the season goes, right? And as he shows that he could still maintain the level of play at an older age, and I'm not going to say older age, as his age increases, I think you definitely look at it. And he's someone, look, you talk about the outside backers, right? He's in that mix too, but then you put him hand in the dirt and you can bump him inside. So it's kind of buy one, get 2 free with him, and I think that definitely holds value.
I think Danico Autry is a great NFL player.
Yeah, he's really good, man. Definitely.
I mean, I think he's – Texter says, TD, I'm with you. Josh Wiley should have caught the pass from Malik Willis against the Bears, but I am concerned that if something were to happen to Chigakonkwo, that Josh Wiley would be our starter, and unlike Jonnu Smith when he took over for Delaney Walker, I do not think Josh Wiley is ready for that. Do you think Wiley could handle that spot if he needed to?
I don't know that he's all the way ready for it either, and still there's things you could do to get him in the mix, though. I mean, like, you could use him as a flex. You line him up out wide, but it's not the same level of readiness as Chig was last year, or even Jonnu, especially when he replaced Walker, in 18 when Walker went down. So that is something to watch, but just like everything else, it's something that Tim Kelly will have to adjust to if injuries go down.
Well, and it took Jonnu a little bit of time.
Right.
He wasn't Delaney. Like, he didn't just all of a sudden step into that spot and become Delaney Walker.
Absolutely.
It was like it took him a while to get there, and then once he got there, he left as a free agent, and I guess he never got back to it. Texture says, TD, I love you, but Willis had 4 quarters to prove himself last week, and he managed to average 22 yards passing per quarter. What in the world should make me think that that's good enough? And if we wanted to be fair, should they not give Levis all 4 quarters? And I guarantee you he'll throw for over 100 yards.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I did say that there was more to be desired. So I'm not sure what the texter is getting at. I said 4 right now. I will go with Willis over Levis because of what we've seen. Remember, Levis has the lower body injury, right? And we don't know what the extent of that situation is. He did practice on Wednesday. He's going to play on Friday. Why do we have to make the decision now? Why can't we see Friday and say, okay, look, after the full training camp, after the full preseason, this is the move. That's all. I'm not saying chisel it in stone that Will Levis is the number 3 and Malik is the number 2. I'm not saying that. It's for right now, that's the direction that I would go.
You know who did say that, though?
Who's that?
Chris Sanders.
I mean, look.
I kept saying, so are you ready to give him the job, or do you need to see what happens Friday night? And he was like, And then
He
finally
did say he
reeled
needed to
into
see.
Friday night.
Yeah, he said he needed to see Friday night. So, yeah.
Texter says, TD, do you envision Will Levis as the Titans' quarterback of the future? And do you think they envision Will Levis as the quarterback of the future?
I would say yes. I would say yes. I think I would say yes to both of those. I think so.
I wonder, and I'll never know the answer to this, I wonder if he was more of Rand's guy or Vrabel's guy. Like, who loved him and said, we have to trade up to get him? Not that it matters, but I do wonder just because, it's weird to take a guy like they took him. They were trying to get back into the first round to take him. And when I believe a quarterback gets taken that high, there is kind of a, without saying it, a proclamation that he is the quarterback of the future on some level. Mm-hmm. But they still took Skoronski ahead of him, so it wasn't like they thought he was a slam dunk franchise quarterback, or else they would have taken him with the 11th pick so that somebody else couldn't have taken him.
Yeah, it is a very interesting concept. But I think really what it boiled down to is they liked him, but then the value there when he started to fall was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it, So I don't know that they were as convinced as the Texans were on Stroud or the Colts were with, Anthony Richardson. But I think that value was enough for them to say, hey, look, let's do it.
Texter says, TD, with all the issues the Titans have had at kicker, what's the real reason why the Titans aren't trying to sign Mason Crosby? Is it possible that they're going to wait until after week 1? Don't understand why he isn't in the conversation unless his price is too high.
Well, Mason Crosby has some issues, towards the final part of the year last year. And remember, he was with the Packers for so long. So if he was really like that, why wouldn't the Packers have brought him back? I think you have to look at that. I think a good part of it does depend on, that veteran part of it, his contract being guaranteed and for how much. That's definitely a big part of it. And, if you look, that's probably why Robbie Gould, Mason Crosby, these guys, that's probably why they're not signed yet, is because, A, they're veterans, and, B, they're not just going to play for a chump change. They want a couple dollars.
I do think that if the money was okay, I think what they want is they want to find their Rob Baronis, where they find a guy out of nowhere and he ends up becoming the kicker for a decade and a good kicker for a decade. But if I was Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon came up to me and the money was right and he said, he put his hand down on the table and said, Robbie Gould will get the job done, and he would know because he would know Robbie's personality and everything else, then I think you have to jump on it. That's one where I defer to the guy that I know would know. Or maybe Robbie Gould's too old. And they're like, no, he can't kick it as far anymore. And, in San Francisco, we had to kind of change how we did things because we couldn't kick it as far. Whatever it may be, that's kind of the only veteran guy that I think Suckup's done. I think Crosby's done. If Robbie Gould still got game and Rand would know, then I would be interested. But if not, it's probably going to be some young guy.
Yeah, well, Robbie's 40 years old, so.
40 years old. Well, how old was Gary Anderson when he was kicking with the one little bar on his face?
The duck face mask, man.
Dude,
yeah.
Protect your eyes with the little one ring Gary. Although Gary Anderson, he made all his kicks. They couldn't kick it from 50 with him, but he could make them. Yeah. TD, great stuff. What's on Talking with TD this week?
Oh, yeah. No, we had a good conversation with Mason Kinsey. Got him on. I was able to grab him after practice. Got Chris Sanders, Run TMC. We reminisced on joint practices and preseason games, and I, talked at length about Caleb Farley, and that was something I wanted to definitely open up with. His dad, Robert Farley, helped me do a couple stories on Caleb. So, rest in peace, Mr. Farley, and definitely praying for Caleb and his family.
What a tragic story.
Absolutely. Just a tragic it's been a tough six years for that young man. It's crazy. But through it all, he's maintained his faith, man. You got to tip your cap to him for that.
TD, appreciate you. We'll
yes, sir. Soon. Enjoy the game.
Yep. Let's talk about FanDuel Sportsbook. That's my official sportsbook app. Step back into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. When you place a $5 bet, that's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action, and the app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And the Jared Stillman special, I actually need to look this back up to see if it's still plus 4,000 or if I've talked about it so much that now it's gone down. Kenny Pickett, MVP, plus 4,000. Again, I can give you Mahomes. He's, I think he was like plus 600 or something like that. I mean, everybody's expecting Mahomes to be in the conversation, but Kenny Pickett plus 4,000, I'm just saying. So visit FanDuel.com/JGM and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Men at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, our urologists and providers have been helping guys with erectile dysfunction and other sexual health issues for years. And unlike some, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we take a comprehensive approach to your sexual health. Our sole focus is to treat ED and related conditions. ED can be affected by a bunch of things, from hormones, prostate issues, medical conditions, and even simply aging. The fact is, most guys experience it at some point in life. If you're suffering with ED, it's extremely important to see a provider that understands how your medical conditions, hormone levels, and other factors can impact your ability to have sex. That's why you should come to the Tennessee Men's Clinic, where we have treatments that are effective in nearly 90% of cases. I can't tell you how many guys we've seen that thought their situation was hopeless, only to be wildly surprised. So give us a call today. We'll do some blood work with a T-check and a medical consult to give you the best shot at success. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Are you or someone you know looking for a job change or a new career opportunity? Come out and interview with one or more of over 30 local employers ready to hire on the spot at Urban League's free workshop development hiring expo. Saturday, September 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Nashville State's White Bridge campus. This free event will include door prizes, food trucks, and much more. The future is yours. Join Urban League of Middle Tennessee on September 9th and take the next step to your exciting future. Call the Urban League office at 615-254-0525 for more information.
Now through Labor Day, get fantastic deals at Electronic Express. Get a 65-inch TCL 4K Roku TV, only $349, or an HP Chromebook for just $249. Electronic Express has huge savings on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Avanti laundry pair, just $379 each, or a Ring Video doorbell for only $69. Plus, get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Tennessee Titans are getting ready for their final preseason game tomorrow night versus the New England Patriots. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill spoke this week about how the offense has come together as they wrap up training camp.
I'm excited about where we're at. A lot of guys have put in a lot of work, gotten a lot better over the course of training camp. We're at the point right now, playing against our defense a lot, where we're trying new things and kind of experimenting a little bit, trying to see how we can take advantage of some of the stuff we do. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, but that's good work for us. As far as going into the season, we'll see a lot of similar coverages and things like that throughout the season. So, trying some stuff out right now and feel like it'll help us as we move forward.
Out in Denver, Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy was carted off during practice today with a hamstring injury. The Arizona Cardinals have traded 2020 first-round pick Isaiah Simmons to the New York Giants in exchange for a 2024 seventh-round pick. Los Angeles Angels star Shohei Ohtani has a ligament tear in his elbow and will not pitch the rest of the season as they determine if Tommy John surgery will be needed. And the Nashville Sounds are back in action tonight versus Gwinnett, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. First pitch is set for 6:05 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So a big story came out yesterday. Trey Lance, the former third overall pick, is on the block. And a lot of people were surprised by this. A lot of people were shocked by it yesterday. Like, they did what? And I really wasn't all that surprised. In fact, I thought Trey Lance was on the block the whole time. I thought it was pretty obvious that he was on the block during the offseason. We talked about it during the offseason. And I knew that Trey Lance was going to be a casualty of the 49ers when on the first day of free agency, Sam Darnold signed a 1-year, $4.5 million contract. Now, I like Sam Darnold more than most people. If you watched the Carolina Panthers last year when they stopped all the Baker Mayfield bull crap and they just let Sam Darnold be the quarterback and it was his second year with the Panthers, Sam Darnold actually played pretty well. I thought there was a chance that Sam Darnold was going to be a starter in the NFL on one of these teams like Washington or Atlanta that said that they were going young, that we weren't sure was going young. I thought Darnold had a chance to start in those places, and I think Darnold's pretty good. I mean, I don't think Darnold is a high-end guy. I don't think he'll ever be a high-end guy. But I like Darnold. And I do think if he has any chance of being a high-end guy, it's going to be with Shanahan running this system with that team. But when they signed Sam Darnold, I said on the air at the time, I remember we were at Bridgestone Arena, and I said, Sam Darnold is not going there to be the third-string quarterback. They are not paying a guy $4.5 million to be the third-string quarterback. And the idea that Brock Purdy wasn't their guy, they had committed to Brock. Brock's their guy. So I think there's a valuable lesson to be learned here. Number one, I think the idea of trading 3 first-round picks to move up to number 3, to draft a quarterback, and to basically have that quarterback bust out, which I don't think Lance technically did, but when you decide you don't want him anymore, he certainly didn't develop into a star for you. When that happens, and the coach who did it is one of the best quarterback gurus on the planet, if not the best, and it is a team that is consistently good, and a team that drafts well, and a team that is well run, it leaves a lot of people scratching their heads. Ian even made a comment during the break about how do you keep your job when you trade 3 first-round picks to move up to number 3, and 3 years later you're trying to get rid of the guy. Well, go to the NFC Championship game in back-to-back years, you'll keep your job. And I think what this should point out to all of us, the first lesson learned here, is not everybody is right all the time. Not everybody's right all the time. We do this with John Robinson. Oh, I can't believe he picked that guy, or I can't believe he... Right, and in the same draft, he drafted Jack Conklin, Kevin Byard, and Derrick Henry. He traded a 4th-round pick for Ryan Tannehill. He built a team that every year that he was here was competing for the playoffs. Ian, what was Floyd's definition of a successful season every year?
Try and win the division, or win the division and compete for the playoffs.
Compete for the playoffs. Not everybody is right all the time. And that's what happened with San Francisco. Now, word on the street has been for a long time that Kyle Shanahan made that move with Mac Jones in mind, and then he chickened out and drafted Trey Lance, which is probably even dumber not to trust your gut, but it's also compounded by the fact that he could have stayed at 11 and taken Mac Jones. But the 49ers are not going to fire Kyle Shanahan because they've got their guy. Brock Purdy is their starting quarterback. And so Trey Lance is on the block. Now, one thing I have a hard time understanding about this story is why is Trey Lance on the block? I mean, you already made the pick, so the money's guaranteed. And he'll make $5 million guaranteed next year. And at the end of this year, you have to decide on the fifth-year option, which they would clearly decline if he's their third quarterback. But isn't San Francisco supposed to be the team that needs 3 quarterbacks? Now, they have Brandon Allen, the old Bengals backup, the former Arkansas Razorback. They have him as part of the team. And I think the real question is Trey Lance better than Brandon Allen? Because if there was any team that I would assume would keep all of their quarterbacks just in case somebody gets hurt, it would be San Francisco, right? I mean, they changed the rule for San Francisco. And what happened in that NFC Championship game? So I find that to be fascinating, that after what happened in the NFC title game, San Francisco is trying to move on from Trey Lance because he's their third quarterback, but the new rule allows you to have 3 quarterbacks. I also think Kyle Shanahan was willing to change the way his offense ran because the offense looked different in the 2 games that Trey Lance played last year before he got hurt. And then when Brock Purdy fell into his lap, he didn't have to change the offense, and that Darnold probably fits that offense better than Lance, and maybe even Brandon Allen fits that offense better than Lance. Brandon Allen coming from the Bengals, where, again, of course, the head coach, Zach Taylor, runs the same scheme Shanahan does. And with Lance, it's probably more of a Justin Fields type offense that has to be run. But the other thing that was kind of obvious to me in the offseason, one, it was obvious, at least from where I sat, that Sam Darnold was not going to be the third string quarterback in San Francisco. And he wouldn't have signed on the first day of free agency if that were the case. But I think what I find incredibly fascinating about this is all the other teams that have San Francisco ties, outside of Minnesota a little bit, just dipping their toe in the water, I don't think anybody was interested. The Texans desperately wanted Will Anderson Jr. We've been over this 100 times that the Texans liked Will Anderson more than they liked C.J. Stroud. But they knew that they needed their quarterback of the future. Well, again, when Sam Darnold was signed, it was obvious that Trey Lance wasn't the future for the 49ers. They could have just had Trey Lance, but they weren't interested. Then there's you. Your general manager comes from San Francisco. You drafted a quarterback in the second round, and you used a third in next year's draft to be able to move up to take your quarterback in the second round this year. Well, I mean, you could have dealt probably a 4th-round pick in next year's draft and gotten Trey Lance and said, okay, you're going to sit the bench behind Tannehill for a year, but you're our quarterback of the future. But the Titans weren't all that interested in it. And then there's Minnesota, which is where Trey Lance is from. And Minnesota did talk a little bit with San Francisco about Lance, and they've got a general manager who's from San Francisco. But ultimately, they didn't do it. So they're paying Kirk Cousins $45 million or whatever it is, again, to be the quarterback. And at the end of the year, they'll probably have to re-sign Kirk Cousins. Well, this was the get-out-of-jail-free card, right? Like, you sign this guy, you trade for this guy, he's $5 million next year. He sits on the bench behind Cousins. You stick him right in there, and now he's your quarterback of the future. They tried drafting Kellen Mond a couple of years ago. That didn't work. They drafted Jaron Hall late this year. That's probably not going to work. But if you thought this guy was a future franchise quarterback and San Francisco's going to be willing to give him away, why wouldn't you just take him? So it's pretty telling to me when all these teams that went out to get future quarterbacks, or in the case of the Vikings, need a future quarterback, and they weren't that interested in Trey Lance. But this doesn't mean that Kyle Shanahan is a bad coach or a bad executive or bad at running the Niners, because the results speak for themselves. In a 4-year period, he went to the NFC Championship game 3 times. Twice with Jimmy Garoppolo, who stinks. I always wonder, what could Kirk Cousins do if he were the quarterback of San Francisco? What would Ryan Tannehill do if he were the quarterback of San Francisco? But Purdy is their guy. And with Purdy being their guy and Darnold being the backup, whose game is more like Purdy's and doesn't need the practice reps because those will go to Purdy during the week, it makes sense that Trey Lance probably isn't in their plans. And the fact that now that there's a third quarterback rule and they still want to deal him, and the fact that the teams that have executives and coaches that we're in San Francisco, that tells me something. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. I do wonder if Titan fans think the Titans should go get Trey Lance. My answer is no, for a bunch of reasons. Even if it were just for Malik straight up. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Boy, I hope your AC is not out right now. Woo! Is it smoking outside? And if it is, you need to get on the horn and talk to Hiller. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer, or at least chilling as much as you can with as hot as it is outside, with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. Like when you purchase select new HVAC systems, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Penga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. Stay chillin' all summer long. Call Hiller today, and Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services free guarantee. And I know this because I use Hiller myself. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
The Vanderbilt Commodores are ready for year 3 under head coach Clark Lee.
As we stand now in front of a clean sheet. Our goal is postseason play.
And we are your home for all of the action.
Touchdown, Vandy. The doors on the board. Vandy, 24-21, your final.
Vanderbilt football lives on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Looking for a big diamond? Genesis Diamonds introduces our Elite Collection, all new for this year. These are large, rare diamonds in the top 1% of the world. 3 carat, 4 carat, 5 carat, up to 10 carat precious diamonds for the most discriminating buyers who appreciate quality. Genesis owners travel worldwide, tapping a vast network of diamond cutters, carefully hand-selecting each of these remarkable diamonds. We invite you to view this premium collection of GIA-certified diamonds, rounds, cushion cuts, emerald cuts, even fancy colored diamonds in size and quality never before seen here. And to showcase these exquisite stones, only Genesis has the finest handcrafted rings from all the world-class designers. If 2020 is the year you're upgrading her original diamond, or you just want to go big for the first time, no need to travel to New York or Los Angeles or Antwerp. Genesis Diamonds' elite collection of large precious diamonds is here in Nashville. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's time to let your voice be heard. Nashville is headed to a runoff in the mayoral race on Thursday, September 14th. Stand up and be counted. Cromwell Media reminds you to get out and vote for the future of our city.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's no question for the San Francisco 49ers who their starter is this season. That would be Brock Purdy. But there was a quarterback competition for his backup, and according to sources, that has now been settled. Sam Darnold. What does it mean for former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance? My understanding is Lance, who was not at practice yesterday, is now the subject of trade talks. The 49ers are exploring their options as it pertains to Lance, and his future in San Francisco very much in doubt, despite Kyle Shanahan saying he'd be extremely happy if Lance was still on the team. This is what he told KNBR Radio. Calls are being made, wheels are in motion for a potential Trey Lance trade. And despite the fact that it would be complicated, in fact, he is due $5 million fully guaranteed next year, there is expected to be some interest. I would keep a little bit of an eye on Minnesota. They were the team that called San Francisco before the draft this year, and of course that is Trey Lance's hometown.
Yeah, that was Ian Rappaport talking about, Kyle Shanahan says that they would still love to keep Trey Lance. Of course Kyle Shanahan is saying that. Nobody has trade value if you tell everyone, we don't want him anymore. So a couple of people texted in this yesterday, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump to it before it becomes a thing of the, Jared, should the Titans try to get Trey Lance? And the answer is no. Now, we did talk about this, I think, a lot before they drafted Will Levis, going into the offseason, knowing that the Titans were not 100% committed to Tannehill. We did not, one way or another. But the answer is no. And there are a handful of reasons as to why the answer is no. Number one, you already have 2 young quarterbacks. What is a third young quarterback going to help? Some people have suggested, somebody texted in yesterday and floated out the idea that the Titans call San Francisco and trade Malik Willis for Trey Lance straight up. I think San Francisco would do that, but I wouldn't. Now, I think San Francisco would do that for one reason. It's another reason why I don't think the Titans would have any interest in Trey Lance. As you heard in the Rappaport cut right there, Trey Lance is guaranteed $5 million next year. Guaranteed. Malik is not. So if San Francisco can get out of that $5 million commitment, and then they have a third quarterback in case what happens to them in the NFC Championship game happens again, or a guy that they could run some gimmick plays with his athleticism, then maybe San Francisco can get some positive out of having Malik Willis. But I still wouldn't do it because I don't see the Titans giving up the $5 million for next year. I don't know what the Titans are going to do when it comes to the quarterback position in 2024. I don't even think the Titans know what they're going to do. But the last thing that they need to be doing is adding guaranteed money for next season. So I don't think that that's really an option. And third, if the Titans were to acquire Trey Lance, the former first-round choice in 2021, the third overall pick, would that slow up the Will Levis development? And I think the answer to that is yes. Regardless of whether or not you like this, because a lot of people don't like Will Levis for whatever reason it is, people have already made up their mind that Will Levis is no good or that Will Levis can't play, or Will Levis is the future of this team. You do not trade up and trade an extra third-round pick and switch spots in the third round in order to get a quarterback who is not the future of the team. And all bringing Trey Lance in, all that would do is complicate the issue. So the answer when it comes to Trey Lance is no. Even if it were for Malik straight up, even if it were for what the Detroit Lions acquired the Jacksonville kicker Riley Patterson for, which was a conditional 7th-round pick in the 2026 draft, a bag of footballs has more value than a conditional pick in the 7th round of the 2026 draft. Even then, I don't think the Titans would be interested in Trey Lance. Because if the Titans really thought that Trey Lance had the potential to be a future quarterback in the NFL, then why would they have not just traded a low-round pick, had him behind Tannehill, and never even entertained the idea of Will Levis? So no, I don't think it's on the option. I don't think that he's an option. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Texter says, who was surprised that the 49ers want to move off of Trey Lance? When they signed Sam Darnold, it was a given that Trey Lance was done. And the only reason why it took so long was because they wanted to make sure Brock Purdy was good to go for week 1. No, the only reason it's taken so long is because nobody's interested in trading for him. That's what it really boils down to. They would have traded him before the draft. They would have loved to have had a draft pick, an extra pick to use in this year's draft. Texture says, what are the odds Tannehill has a career year? Would the Titans move on with one of the younger quarterbacks next year? That is a loaded question. First of all, if Tannehill has a career year, they're not moving on to Malik Willis. And I know Malik's made a lot of progress, and we got to give Malik credit, and I do give Malik credit. Some people, I think, give Malik more credit than he deserves. Some people aren't giving Malik any credit. I'm in the middle. I give Malik credit for what he's done. I still am not convinced that he can take care of the ball well enough to be a backup quarterback. If Tannehill has a career year, Malik's not going to pass him. But the question has to be then, is Levis, like, have you seen enough from him to say, okay, he's our guy of the future anyways? And I don't know the answer to that. Texter says the Titans are idiots if they don't trade Malik and get as much as they can before the trade deadline. Levis is going to be the quarterback when Tannehill is gone, whenever that is, and Willis, quality backup, is not that hard to find. Well, that's also why you're not really going to get anything from Malik Willis if you try to trade him. I've always told you and everybody else this, especially when it comes to hockey. Nobody wants the guys that you don't want. You didn't want Matt Duchene. Nobody was going to take that contract either. You had to buy him out. If you were to start calling up teams, if Will Levis is the backup quarterback, and you were to start calling up teams and saying, hey, we'll give you Malik Willis, what would it take? Nobody's going to offer you anything because they know you don't want him. And they also know that if you don't want him, just like with Trey Lance, probably isn't that good. That's how the Titans got Tannehill for a 4th-round pick. Because nobody wanted him. The Dolphins didn't want him. So they got him. Now, he happened to be better than that, but they didn't want him. So the price wasn't very high. 615-737-1025 is our phone number on the program, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in on the program here on Stillman and Company. SI, Sports Illustrated, came out with their predictions for the season. Now, I've told the story that as a young kid, I used to run to the mailbox when it was this time of the year to see if this was going to be what Dr. Z had for the Titans. Now, Paul Zimmerman, a.k.a. Dr. Z, he's no longer with us. But Sports Illustrated still matters, at least a little bit to me. And I was shocked by where they have the Titans. We'll get to that coming up next. PhD weight loss. I love PhD weight loss. Got on the scale today, and I was a little nervous because I hadn't been perfect over the weekend. And guess what? everything's checking out all good. I love PhD weight loss, and I've blown past the 20-pound mark, and I'm approaching the 30-pound mark, which I absolutely love. And I've been doing it while enjoying the summer and traveling on vacation and practices and training camp and things like that. I love the PhD program because it's simple for me to understand and activate, and quite frankly, because, as you can tell, it works. I feel so much better about myself, and I feel in control. And I continue to see progress. If you're somebody who has struggled to lose weight, go online to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. And you can learn about their program, the coaching, and their guarantee. If you do not get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss. Online, myphdweightloss.com.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team. You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We buy any car.
Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because when you trade in, you're dealing with a dealer. And sure, they're interested in a good deal. For them, not for you. Come to WeBuyAnyCar.com instead. All we do is buy cars. You get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price. So don't take chances with a trade-in. Go to WeBuyAnyCar.com for a free online valuation.
Find out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.
Don't miss a minute of football action while getting up close and personal to the future stars of the PGA Tour. Join Penn Entertainment on site at the Simmons Bank Open, promoting Penn Play and their sports online betting platform. Stop by their tent in the Arctic Tailgate Village during the tournament to learn more and have a chance to win some prizes and giveaways. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call Tennessee Redline 1-800-899-9789.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Do reward. Just desserts. Special day. Payoff. Just because. Whatever your reasons, it's time to visit the spa.
Mokara Spa at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Now offering outdoor yoga 9 a.m. every Saturday through September 2nd on the spa terrace. Book any treatment and get complimentary valet parking and access to the rooftop pool with incredible views of the Music City skyline. Mokara Spa at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Inner Zen, outer beauty.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Come on. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think we have a roster that will compete. Again, it all starts today, on the field. And something I kind of said from the get-go, we don't have to set the 53 until September. So we'll continue to work, and continue to, look to add players. We've already brought players in for workouts and tryouts that, we identified that can help, make a competitive roster. And that's what we're always looking to do, is build a competitive roster. So we are where we are now, but we're not done.
There you go. That was Rand Carthon before the season. Hey, we have a roster that can compete. Even though most people do not believe that is the case with the Titans, including TD's brethren at ESPN in the power rankings, where they picked the Titans to be 26th. They have the Patriots at 17th, and they've got the Titans at 26. So today, Sports Illustrated, and Ian, I don't know, does Sports Illustrated still have like a hard copy magazine still, or no? Have they stopped printing that?
I think they do. Actually, I think I saw one around the office. Had who's the boxer? One of the Pauls.
Like
Jake Paul, something like that. It had it on. Yeah, I saw it in the office around here the other day. I think it had it on there. Yeah.
John Paul.
Sean Paul.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they do, but it's not like it used to be.
Okay, so when I was a kid, the way that we live now, where it's football, that's not what it used to be like, at least not for me. My experience was like it was baseball season, and right now we'd be like in football and college football season, and just the beginning of the excitement of it. And around this time every year, the late Paul Zimmerman, Dr. Z, would come out with his preseason predictions. And I remember when I was 8, and I wasn't even really into it that much. I mean, I went to one Oilers game that year, but I saw that he had them at 8-8 or something like that, and I was so upset. And I think it was the Titans the first year he had them as 8-8, not making the playoffs, and whatever, Dr. Z. But then for some reason it became habitual that when Sports Illustrated had their preseason predictions, I jumped to see what they had. Today, Connor Orr has taken the mantle from Dr. Z, and they have the official Sports Illustrated expectations. The predictions are out. And I was shocked. 10-7 for the Titans, and they have the Titans winning the AFC South. He also has Jacksonville 10-7, Indy 8-9, which I don't know how you get to 8 wins with Indianapolis, and Houston 5-12. And even then, I still think 5-12 might be a stretch for the Texans. But 10-7 for the Titans and winning the division. They've got the Titans winning at New Orleans, losing at home against the Chargers, losing to the Browns, losing to the Bengals. So they start 1-3, winning at Indianapolis, losing to Baltimore and London, winning against Atlanta, winning on Thursday Night Football against Pittsburgh. That one I think is going to be kind of tough, but okay. Winning at Tampa Bay, should win that. Losing at Jacksonville, losing at home to Carolina. Carolina sucks. Okay. Winning at home against Indy, winning on the road at Miami, winning against Houston, losing to Seattle, beating Houston, and beating the Jags to go 10-7 to win the division. I was just a little shocked by that. And I guess I'm just a little shocked because everybody else has been expecting the Titans to go 5-12 this year. And we had the Titans, our expectations on this program at 12 for me, 10 for Ian in terms of wins. And I just am shocked. I'm shocked that somebody went against the grain and actually expects the Titans to be good. And still, no mention of how good that defense might be. In fact, Albert Breer was asked in his Monday morning quarterback mailbag today, he was asked about, who's a team that nobody's talking about that could have a great defense? And I saw that, and I was like, I know one. I got my hand in the air. I've got one. Pick on me, call me. And he said Seattle is a team that could have a defense that nobody's talking about. We'll see. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Travis has been waiting patiently and is up next on Malik Willis. Thank you for calling. What's up, Travis?
Yeah, I called in a couple weeks ago, I think, and man, I see the ball zipping out of Will Levis's hand. I see him standing there confident, throwing. I know he's still got a lot of growing to do, but after seeing Malik Willis play all game and not throw for 100 yards, my mind still hasn't changed. I know you tried to convince me that he's gotten better, and I believe you because you have seen the practices. But, man,
well, I mean, he's looked better in the games than he did last year.
I mean, yeah, he does, but it's just not enough, man. I mean, it just doesn't – I just don't see the potential for him to be like what Carolina and D. Mace and all they were saying, he's clearly better. I definitely do not see that.
Yeah, so I heard that, and I had to text Derek. Thank you for your call. I had to text Derek today. And I love Derek. And, look, man, Derek played in the league for a decade. He's an all-pro. He's got what you call G14 classification. So I'm not taking anything away from him. But I had to text Derek today, Ian. I told him he had to stop babying Malik.
Well, how was he babying
Malik?
He
was babying Malik. Oh, it was so bad. It was like, well, he would have thrown for 100 yards if Chig had caught the ball. And, it's like if we have to do He would have caught the ball if the guy had caught it to get to 100 yards. That's pretty pathetic. Like, the question with Malik is not about is he better than he was last year. The answer to that is yes. It's not whose fault was it that he threw the ball 15 feet above Josh Wiley, and Josh Wiley at 6'8" couldn't go up and get it, and the ball got intercepted because it hit the Chicago Bear right in the chest. That's not the question. Malik has to throw the ball better. The question is, can he go into a game and take care of the football? Can he go in a game? When Brock Purdy got elevated to the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, I would have loved to have been in the meetings between him and Kyle Shanahan. Because I guarantee you Kyle Shanahan was not sitting down with him saying, now, Brock, we need you to go out there, and we need you to be our franchise quarterback right now. I guarantee it was, we need you to give the ball to Debo. We're going to put these simple concepts together. Just deliver the ball on time. Just hand the ball off. And whatever you do under any circumstances at all, no matter what happens, you do not turn the football over. You understand? And with Malik, every time he plays, he turns the ball over. And I'm not even getting on him for the blindside sack in the Chicago game because I don't really think there was a lot he could have done there. I mean, blindside sacks happen. Tannehill's going to fumble the ball in a blindside sack. Brady's going to fumble the ball in a blindside sack. They all fumble the ball in a blindside sack. But Malik doesn't take care of the ball enough for me. And when we make excuses, that's babying him. He's in his second year. Look at all the other second-year quarterbacks. Purdy, Pickett, Howell, Ritter. I mean, Matt Corral and Malik are the ones that are not taking the steps necessary. Is he taking steps? Yes. Could he take more steps in the future? Maybe. But, again, it's not about is he better than he was last year. He's absolutely better than he was last year. It's about can Malik Willis be a backup quarterback and protect the ball? And that's what I was talking about with TD today. Like, I can't go. Like, he's got to protect the ball. DeJuan is up next here on the program. Thank you for calling and thank you for waiting. What's up, DeJuan?
What's up, man? I agree with when it comes to Malik. I agree with everything, almost everything you say. When the caller that just called and he says his presence in the pocket, I saw that. I was like, oh my God, he's standing in the pocket, he's zipping it. Now the problem with what I don't believe in is the 100-yard thing. I mean, tell me how many games that Ryan Tannehill throw over 200, and I don't think it's a part of Ryan's game. It's the Titans' offense. We don't really. That's not our game, and he didn't have starting receivers. If he would have thrown for less than 100 yards with our starting receivers, then I agree with you. But
so if you had played DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks in a meaningless preseason game and he had less than 100, then you would have been concerned?
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, you know that wasn't the starting defense for the Vikings, right?
I mean, but will Ryan Tannehill throw over 100 with those receivers in that defense? Yes. Do you really believe it? You would bet
I believe that Ryan Tannehill would have thrown for over 100 yards.
140 at most.
I mean, that's still significantly over 100.
Our offense. It's just our offense, not to knock either quarterback. I just think our design of offense. Now, I didn't watch the game, so I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I don't get Ryan Tannehill on our fantasy. I don't care if we have Randy Moss and you know, Michael Irvin. I'm just not going to use him on my fantasy because we're not designed to throw the ball downfield.
That's fine, but that doesn't. I mean, 100 yards. DeJuan, thank you for your call. Nick Mullins played a half and threw for 150. Okay? Like, there's no excusing Malik throwing for under 100 yards. I mean, there's absolutely no excusing that. And when, again, like, I love Derek. And again, Derek's got that G14 classification. But when I heard that today about, well, if Chicken caught the ball, I was like, stop babying him. I mean, if he's going to be the backup quarterback. See, this is what drives me crazy about last year. Malik was 100 times more terrible in the preseason. And I was like, he cannot be this team's backup quarterback. It was, well, he's a rookie, Jared. That doesn't change, like, that he can't be the backup. And I really did, you know, I really was excited about Malik. I was excited to see Malik play the Chicago game because I thought that Malik was going to show everybody that he was kind of a different player than he was the year before and all those things. Goes right down the field, scores a touchdown, and it's like, see, I told you. And then he throws the ball right to the other team. And then on Saturday, I thought Malik was given an opportunity to really run with the, hey, I can be a backup quarterback in this league. And he threw for 85 yards. And I can't get over that. Maybe you can dismiss it. I can't. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 here on the Stillman and Company program. Texter says your explanation about Malik is exactly why they should trade him right now. If they can, they'll never get more for him. He's at the peak of his value. They cannot get anything for him. They can't get anything for Trey Lance. They're going to get something for Malik? Come on now. They all saw every other team saw the 85 yards too. Coming up next on the program, we have an update on the Nashville White Sox. That's right. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe here for Superbook Sports. Football season is right around the corner, and now is the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook right here in Tennessee. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use my promo code CHASE to score up to $250 with your first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 simply by dropping my name, Chase, C-H-A-S-E, in the promo code. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who is your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Just download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wagers today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus simply by using Chase in the promo code slot will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Calling all Nashville Sounds baseball fans. You know the 312 Pizza Company in Germantown is the best place to be before or after a Sounds game, but this season, it gets even better. Stop by 312 Pizza Company before or after any Nashville Sounds home game with your day of ticket and get a free old-style beer. That's right, you get a free old-style beer from 312 Pizza just for watching Sounds baseball. Only redeemable with purchase. See you at 312 Pizza Company all baseball season long. 312 Pizza Company, a proud sponsor of your Nashville Sounds.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Rizumkizum of Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Junie Riddle,
the guy that can come in and give us some good goal-scoring production,
and Nick Keiser,
another guy that I thought was interesting that got a 1-year deal.
Each Saturday morning at 9, it's Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Manfred said he gets Tampa straightened out, then he's going to expand. The cities in expansion are Nashville, Charlotte, Montreal, Portland, and Salt Lake. I think 2 of the 5 will get a team. And as Rob said, Nashville is on everybody's list. So I think Nashville is going to get a team once they get Tampa straightened out with either a stadium or their whereabouts. And Nashville will get a team. And then I think then it's either going to be Salt Lake, Portland, Montreal, or Charlotte. The advantage of Nashville, you can put them in either conference or either league.
There you go. That's Mad Dog Russo talking about the city of Nashville. So it came out earlier this week that the Chicago White Sox are interested in getting a new ballpark. And if they don't get a new ballpark, they could move to Nashville. Just like it came out last year that the Orioles might be interested in moving to Nashville. Just like it's come out before that Tampa might be interested in moving to Nashville. And I told you guys, look, that's all bull crap. I mean, there's really nothing to it. But the city of Nashville has responded. This comes from the Tennessean. Benjamin Eagles, a senior advisor to Mayor John Cooper, and Ben Eagles has been on this show before, told the Tennessean on Wednesday that there have been no conversations between Nashville and the White Sox. Quote, Nashville has proved to be a world-class sports town, and our Sounds have led the minor leagues in attendance, but there has been no communication with the White Sox about relocating to Music City. Now, I think that the wording of that release or the wording of that email is pretty important. But we have to keep everything in context. Mayor Cooper is not running for re-election. So Ben Eagles, who represents the mayor, who says we haven't talked to the White Sox, what he made sure to not do in that is shut down the idea of Nashville being interested in a Major League Baseball team, which is the responsible thing to do and the right thing to do. The mayor of Jacksonville, for instance, is doing interviews about how they're going to get this deal done with Jacksonville, but he's leaving office and he won't be the one to get it done. So this is the right thing to do. Remember, in the past, when Major League Baseball's come up, mayors at the time have kind of shut it down and just said, no way, no how. I remember David Briley, when he was the mayor, sending out a tweet when Rob Manfred mentioned Nashville as a potential expansion city 5-6 years ago. And Mayor Briley put out there and said, let's worry about the MLS first. Then, we can talk about other stuff. But I do think it's important to note that the mayor's office did not shut it down. This, again, the quote is, Nashville has proved to be a world-class sports town, and our Sounds have led the minor leagues in attendance, but there have been no communications with the White Sox about relocating to Music City. That accomplishes a lot of things all at one time. First off, it's their way of saying, yeah, look, man, this is the White Sox smoke. This is not a Nashville story. This is for the people of Chicago to say, oh, we can't do this or we'll lose the White Sox, just like they threatened in 1988 that they were going to move to Tampa. The difference was they had conversations with Tampa, and Florida had built the Florida Suncoast Dome in order to lure the White Sox. That is not happening here, and that's not going to happen here. So they're saying, hey, they're pointing out that this is all the White Sox just floating Nashville out there, which, as I said on Tuesday or whenever it was we had this conversation, I said every single city east of Arizona is going to use Nashville when it comes to wanting public money for their ballpark. Now, I believe, again, not to get political here, but I think Freddie O'Connell is going to be the next mayor of Nashville. And considering that he voted against the Titan Stadium deal, I have a hard time believing he or the Metro Council would be interested in giving $1 to Major League Baseball in order to move here, which is something that I have hammered away at time and time and time again. Now, Major League Baseball does want to be here. There's no doubt about it. But for the time being, I think Milwaukee wants a new ballpark or they want upgrades to their ballpark. I thought Milwaukee had a beautiful stadium. I haven't been there before, but just from the way people talk about it, I know it's about 20 years old, but I thought they had I thought they loved their stadium. But Milwaukee's going to be looking to upgrade their stadium. And guess what? When they knock on the door for public money and they get told no the first time like everybody else does, guess what you're probably going to hear? They might move to Nashville. everybody east of Arizona is going to use Nashville as a leverage chip. And when you start hearing Rutherford County's mayor or Wilson County's mayor or Williamson County's mayor being involved in talks, then you will know to go to red alert. But until then, it's all just smoke. It's all just nothing. And shame on the White Sox for jumping to Nashville so quickly to throw that out there. Apparently, the White Sox have released a statement in regards to that story that came out in Crane Chicago Business. Quote, "We have not had any conversations about our lease with 6 years remaining. It is naturally nearing a time where discussions should begin to take place. The conversations would be with the city, ISFA, which I think is like the Illinois Sports Authority, and the state, and most likely would be about vision, opportunities, and the future." Again, there's a line in there. With 6 years remaining, it's naturally nearing a time where discussions should begin to take place. Oh, so before we sit down with you to negotiate what it is that we want out of you, let's throw out a veiled threat that is really nothing, but it could be something. Could be something when it comes to Nashville. But that's what that's about. So I saw that the mayor's office chimed in, and which is crazy because, I didn't think about the fact that the mayoral runoff is upcoming, and so Mayor Cooper probably wouldn't want to do anything that would commit the city or give anybody the impression of something that's really not going to be his business after a while. But I was expecting to read that and seeing the mayor's office completely shut it down. Something like, "We're focused on the Titan Stadium and we're proud of our future development, blah, blah," and it wasn't even that. Texture says Milwaukee has a great stadium. So make of that what you will. So, speaking of quarterbacks, there is a report that's out there. Josh Dobbs, whom the Cleveland Browns, who use a different cap than everybody else in the NFL because they spend more money and they still have $22 million in cap space. I guess that would be 24 now. They have traded Josh Dobbs to the Arizona Cardinals for a 4th-round pick, and they send back a 7th. So Josh Dobbs, I'm guessing, will be the backup to Colt McCoy, or maybe even the starter in Arizona, while Kyler Murray awaits returning. But that Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the 5th-round rookie out of UCLA, has won the job as the backup to Deshaun Watson. Now, I haven't watched the Cleveland preseason games outside of when Deshaun is in there, but I have to say I'm a little surprised. Deshaun hasn't really played football consistently in 2 years, and if he goes down, you're going to stick Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a 5th-round rookie from UCLA, who I didn't even think was very good at UCLA. You're going to stick him out there on the field instead of Josh Dobbs? Now, I'm glad the Titans weren't interested in trading for Josh Dobbs because they have Will Levis and Malik Willis, even though Josh Dobbs is probably better than Willis even now. I was disappointed when they didn't sign him because I thought, well, sign him, get rid of Malik, and then you can still draft your quarterback of the future. But, man, Josh Dobbs, he was impressive when he filled in for Tannehill, even though he turned the ball over too much, but just bounced out of Cleveland just like that, after they guaranteed him $2 million. But then again, Cleveland uses a different cap than everybody else. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. The backup quarterback battle comes down to tomorrow. Levis versus Willis. I don't know how Vrabel's going to siphon out the playing time. I do not think Tannehill's going to play. But there is one thing when it comes to this and making the decisions that every Titan fan has to understand, and we have to accept it as fact. And a lot of you don't want to hear this. We'll do it next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff. It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
If you compare a diamond from Genesis Diamonds to one you find somewhere else, one thing will always stand out. The Genesis diamond is, well, prettier and more brilliant.
We will show you why our diamond's light performance is significantly greater than things you can get elsewhere.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
Not just because of the color and the clarity, but because of things a certificate can't tell you. Because of the characteristics, the personality, the material.
It's the extra step in quality control that comes from an owner obsessed with perfection.
Our owner is incredibly picky when he buys diamonds, searching through hundreds just to get a handful. You will not see diamonds that have the fire at your average mall store or chain store or smaller independent because they don't have the access worldwide like Genesis Diamonds does. Our diamonds' light performance, character, and explosive brilliance is bar none the best your money can buy.
Don't compromise with a diamond that just looks good on paper. Get a diamond that reflects your love in the best light possible.
This diamond has to be spectacular.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, Willie Donick here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. That's 100%. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loan. Consolidate all your payments into one check per month and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. And Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now. See what your options are. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, Comfort and Cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Now, your Game Center update.
The Tennessee Titans officially wrapped up their training camp practices this week as they get ready to host New England in the final preseason game tomorrow night. Head coach Mike Vrabel on how important the final preseason game is and what the coaches are looking for.
Game's important. You really start to see the special teams is what we've talked about a lot with the games. You can only recreate so much out here. So the special teams and the ability to tackle some of those things that the game is critical. So I think you can see a lot.
There are 2 other preseason games on tap for tonight. The Steelers take on the Falcons on NFL Network starting at 6:30. Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson is expected to start tonight in their final preseason game versus the Eagles. Out in Denver, Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy was carted off during practice today with a hamstring injury. Reports are Jeudy is expected to miss a few weeks, and his status for the season opener is in question. The Cleveland Browns are trading quarterback Josh Dobbs and a 2024 7th-round pick to the Arizona Cardinals for a 2024 5th-round pick. Los Angeles Angels star Shohei Ohtani has a ligament tear in his elbow and will not pitch the rest of the season as they determine if Tommy John surgery will be needed. And the Nashville Sounds are back in action tonight versus Gwinnett, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. First pitch is set for 6:05 on your home of the Sounds, 94.9 The Fan. From the Game Nashville studios, this is Ian Safar.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Titans and Patriots tomorrow. It's the preseason finale, and I do not know what the Titans are going to do as far as playing time is concerned. I don't know. Is Tannehill going to play? Is Hopkins going to play? Is Henry going to play? I mean, I know the starting offensive line is going to play. And as I said earlier, I've seen enough from the defense in practice and in the two Vikings practices that I would just bubble wrap that entire unit and just ship them to New Orleans, and we'll see you for the kickoff against the Saints. But I don't know. And the real question I don't know about is how is Vrabel going to divide the reps at quarterback? Again, Malik Willis has taken 102 snaps so far in the preseason. Will Levis has taken 30. Now, it's hard for me to imagine that Will Levis is going to make up the 70 snaps and probably the 20, 30, 35 or so that he missed by not playing in the Vikings game last Saturday. And I don't know if I can penalize Willis and what I may need out of him in his development, especially if he's going to be my backup quarterback, and not play him at all on Friday. But there's something that we need to just accept. And it does pertain to making this immediate decision, who's going to play tomorrow and how much. The next decision, who's going to be the backup and why. And even a decision after that. Now, I've been watching this TV show on Netflix called The Lincoln Lawyer, and it is incredibly entertaining. I just zoomed through 2 seasons. They're 10 episodes each. Each episode's about an hour, and I zoomed through it in like 2 weeks. It's awesome. But one thing that they don't do on The Lincoln Lawyer is they like to just go ahead. If they know that the evidence is going to be accepted, let's just agree that it's going to be accepted. And the judge says to the jury that the jury is supposed to accept the evidence as fact. And I need you to understand something, and I think we all need to accept it as fact. And a lot of Titan fans don't want to hear this. But I think that Will Levis is the quarterback of the future for this organization. There has been nothing that Will Levis has done over training camp or OTAs or anything like that, or the Bears preseason game, that would make me think that Will Levis is not the quarterback of the future. The Titans made that decision when they drafted him, when they traded up in order to get that 33rd pick to draft Will Levis. They made that choice that day, right then, right there. And they made the choice that Will Levis is the quarterback of the future. Now, that doesn't mean that Will Levis is the quarterback of the immediate future. And I'm not one of these people that says, well, if he's quarterback of the future, why not play him right now? Which is apparently the logic with the Indianapolis Colts of, if he's the quarterback of the future, why not play him right now? Because I do think quarterbacks can be ruined. Joey Harrington, I think, went out there too early. Mariota, when he was here, I think, went out there too early. Vince Young might have gone out there too early. So I would just say that just because he sits on the bench, if he in fact sits on the bench, does not mean that he's not the quarterback of the future. Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback of the future. They used 2 first-round picks on him. They ended up sitting him on the bench. That did not mean that Mahomes was not the quarterback of the future. So I just want us all to agree right now that everything that the Titans do and the way that they decide the playing time for tomorrow, the way they decide who the backup quarterback is, and even what they do with Tannehill and how they treat Tannehill after this season, all has to do with Will Levis and Will Levis's development in mind. Can we accept that as a fact? Ian, do you accept it as a fact that Will Levis is the quarterback of the future?
I'd like to think so. But I think it's just too much. I don't know if we've seen enough.
Well, that doesn't matter. They already made that decision when they drafted him. what you've seen, what we've seen, like the idea of, well, when I say he's the quarterback of the future, that doesn't mean that he's going to be a star. There are a lot of teams that have a quarterback of the future that when this quarterback fails, they're going to get fired. They're going to be in deep trouble. Trey Lance was the quarterback of the future for 2 years in San Francisco. Then they found another quarterback of the future. But right now, Will Levis is the quarterback of the future. And that doesn't mean that he'll be a good quarterback. That just means that all the planning has to be built around this.
And by future, you mean like next year?
I just mean the future. I don't mean the immediate future. I don't mean the long. I mean, I'm talking like 3 years from now, Will Levis is the starting quarterback. That is the plan.
Ideally, right?
4 years from now, the plan is for Will Levis to be the starting quarterback. That's what that means. And so that's where it leads into tomorrow night, which is I would sit Malik Willis and Will Levis and Ryan Tannehill down. I would not play Ryan Tannehill tomorrow against New England. And the number one reason why I wouldn't play Tannehill is because I don't think Tannehill needs to play against New England. We're talking about 9 snaps, and I just don't know what he or Hopkins or Henry would get out of that. So I'm not going to play him, but I am going to play the starting line. But I'm sitting Tannehill down with these two just because he's a part of the room. And I am playing Will Levis tomorrow night. And Malik will be the backup, but I don't know how much I'm going to play Malik. Again, it's almost impossible to imagine Will Levis getting to 70 snaps that would make it even between him and Willis as far as the 3 preseason games are concerned. But that's not exactly what I'm looking for. That's not exactly why I would be giving Levis all the snaps. That's part of the reason why, and that's what I would tell Willis. But the reason that I would give Levis almost all the snaps tomorrow is because, one, I need to see a full game for the most part of Will Levis and not yanking him in, yanking him out, yanking him in, yanking him out like they did in the Chicago game. But I need to see him in rhythm for a full game, just like I got to see Malik in rhythm in a full game last week. But also because I need Levis to get the reps. He's the quarterback of the future, not Willis. So I need him to get the reps. I need him to get the live action. Like, I hope that my team wins enough this season, if I'm the Titans, like if I'm the coach, I hope that they win enough so that at the end of the year I can sit Tannehill for a game and I can play Levis so that he can get the reps. And you may say that it doesn't matter, but I think it does. Just look at Sam Howell. Sam Howell got 1 start at the end of last year against the Cowboys. He did okay. I watched the tape. I saw him do some impressive things. I saw him do some dumb rookie things. But I said, okay, there's something to work with there. And that one game probably helped shape the opinion of Ron Rivera and the Commanders to not go in free agency, to not hit the trade market, and to not draft a quarterback, and instead to go with Sam Howell. And now he's their starting quarterback. So all of these are important, especially when he's my quarterback of the future, which is the established fact. Will Levis is the quarterback of the future. Then that takes us to the backup battle. And I said this from the jump at training camp. Ty goes to Levis. And right now, that Chicago game, I thought they were dead even. In training camp, Malik has played against the 2s. Levis has played against the 3s, so I have to weight that a little bit. I think they've been somewhat even in practice. Levis is better in the red zone. I think Malik is more athletic running with the football. But ultimately, I've seen Levis take care of the ball better than Malik. And again, if something happens to Tannehill, I want Levis getting the reps because he's my quarterback of the future. Now, if I'm Vrabel, and I don't think Levis is ready, and I think sticking Levis out there before he's ready could hurt his confidence or hinder his career, then I would stick Willis ahead of Levis as to protect him. But I don't think that's where they are with Levis. First off, I think Levis is a tough kid, and I think he's somebody who a little humbling wouldn't hurt, but also who I think he can handle failure. I think he'll be okay. He comes from a pro-style offense. He's 24 years old. He's not Anthony Richardson, who's 21. So whatever decision it is the Titans make for who the backup is, or even the long-term decision as to what to do with Tannehill, again, it all circles around the idea that Will Levis is the quarterback of the future. And that's why Will Levis should get the ball tomorrow. And that's why he should play behind the first-team offensive line. Because if something happens to Tannehill and Will Levis goes out there and he's my quarterback of the future, well, he'll be behind the first-team offensive line. The Patriots have played some of their starters so far in the preseason. If they play him tomorrow, I want Will Levis going out there against the starters. Now, I still think the backup competition is very real, and if Levis stinks tomorrow, then I think I could make the argument that Malik should be the backup and Levis should spend more time in the classroom working on his mechanics, kind of watching Tannehill, all of those things. But it all comes back to what's in the best interest of Will Levis. Because even though you may not want him to be your quarterback of the future, if you root for the Titans, he is your quarterback of the future. And every decision has to be made accordingly. The Kansas City Chiefs in 2016 had a team that was the number 2 seed in the AFC playoffs. In fact, they were a miracle drive by Mariota and a 56-yard kick by Ryan Suckup in sub-zero temperatures away from being the number 1 seed that year. So they were the number 2 seed in the AFC. And then they drafted Patrick Mahomes. And they got knocked out in the wild card round by Mariota and the Titans the following year. But everything that they did was for Mahomes. I'd say it worked out. You may not think that Levis will ever be Mahomes. You may not think that he'll ever be Justin Herbert. You may not think that he'll ever be Ryan Fitzpatrick. But it doesn't matter what you think or what I think or what anybody else thinks. Because the second they drafted him with the 33rd pick was the second that they had to start treating him like he was going to be their Patrick Mahomes one day. And that's how they have to make decisions. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025 here on the program. We'll get to your phones. Plus, Ian asked about the idea of, okay, well, does that mean, what does the quarterback of the future mean? Does it mean next year? Does it mean we'll get to that. We'll touch on that. We'll hit that and your phones as we always do. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We buy any car.
Selling your car by yourself can lead to some strange encounters.
So how many bodies does this car hold? Bodies? It's a 5-passenger car. Right. Passengers.
Don't deal with selling it yourself. Come to WeBuyAnyCar.com instead. It's easy. You get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
I sell mannequins. Oh, what'd you think? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Get your free online valuation now at
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchen, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools, and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
City Winery Nashville presents Paula Poundstone live in concert on Friday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Iconic comedian Paula Poundstone is known for her smart, observational humor and legendary spontaneous wit. Paula is the star of several HBO specials, including Cats, Cops and Stuff, and Paula Poundstone Goes to Harvard. Paula is a regular panelist on NPR's comedy news quiz, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. She's heard weekly on her successful comedy podcast, Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. Don't miss Paula Poundstone and get your tickets at citywinery.com.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Will Levis back at practice today, Coach? Do you have a plan for Friday?
No, not yet. We don't have any availability or, any decisions yet. See how he comes out of practice and see how he feels.
That was Vrabel when asked, hey, do you have a plan for Levis? No, not really. So you traded up with the 33rd pick, drafted a guy in the second round. He ends up missing a preseason game for precautionary reasons. He practiced and you don't have a plan for him? They've got a plan for everything when it comes to Will Levis. Now, is the plan any good? That's a different discussion. And does it matter if the plan's any good? Because is he any good? That's also a different discussion. But Albert Breer got asked a question in his mailbag for the Monday Morning Quarterback, and I do believe that Albert Breer is tight with both Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon. But he got asked a question, quote, "You're the general manager of the Titans. What do you do at quarterback while looking ahead for 2024? Then the second part of the question was, if Reggie Roberson makes it, how about that comeback story? And Breer just completely ignores the Reggie Roberson part. Do you even think Breer knows who Reggie Roberson is?
No.
Breer writes, if you're looking for me to say that Ryan Tannehill is going to lose his job soon, you've come to the wrong place. New offensive coordinator Tim Kelly is shifting the scheme there to the kind of Patriots offense he and Bill O'Brien ran in Houston. And that means there'll be more on the quarterback mentally than there was in the Mike Shanahan-style scheme that the Titans ran over Mike Vrabel's first 5 years, which naturally favors Tannehill over the young guys. If we get 10 or 12 games in and the Titans are out of the playoff race, then obviously we're talking about something else completely with Tannehill being in a contract year. And maybe that's when you start the information gathering on where Malik Willis and or Will Levis stand going into 24 by playing one or both. But, Breer writes, we're not there yet. The Titans-Tannehill marriage in 2024 is really dependent upon two things. One, Tannehill's play. And two, Levis's development. And it's as simple as that. And think about them. I've got my hands even right here, where my left hand is Ryan Tannehill. And I'm going to move this up as if it were like a bar graph, right? So Ryan Tannehill's here, which is significantly higher than Will Levis, who's here. But then let's make the case, let's argue a little bit. Let's make the case that Levis improves, and so he's up here a little bit. And because Tannehill's getting older, he drops down a little bit, and so now the gap's not that big. And then you factor in how much money they're scheduled to make. Tannehill's not going to play for $4 million a year, and that's when you end up making a change. Now, if Ryan Tannehill takes you to the Super Bowl, and the Titans are really, really good. And Levis is developing a little bit, but he's certainly not at Tannehill's level. Then you bring Tannehill back. It's as simple as that. I've been saying this all year. The Titans are in what I call we'll see mode when it comes to what's next for the quarterback. But the quarterback of the future, the long-term future, whether that's next year, 2 years, 3 years, it's Levis. It's Levis. Now, things change that. San Francisco's an example of that. They thought Trey Lance was their future. Brock Purdy comes along, change of plans. The Patriots gave Drew Bledsoe a $100 million contract. A year later, he's in Buffalo because Tom Brady came along. But right now, I mean, this is Will Levis's future. That's why they drafted him. And I go back to, you have to understand that that is a fact of how the Titans are going to approach this. And if the Titans don't approach it like Will Levis is the future, then they really don't know what they're doing at the quarterback position. And I do worry about that. I do worry about Vrabel having kind of more of a defensive player approach when it comes to the quarterback instead of a more relaxed, nurturing approach when it comes to the quarterback. But you can't treat the quarterback like a defensive lineman. It's just a different position. Now, one thing that I was looking up today, and I actually got sidetracked from other stuff that I was doing because I started to really focus in on this, and it was when I was listening to the Midday Show, and they were talking about Levis and Willis, and Willie made the proclamation that if something were to happen to Tannehill long-term this season, that the Titans season is over and that they're absolutely sunk. Now, I would say I agree with that 90%. But there's 10% of me that thinks about Ben Roethlisberger in 2004. And then I went down the rabbit hole of Ben Roethlisberger's 2004 season. I saw the hit, the sack fumble on Tommy Maddox, in which he hurt his elbow that knocked him out of the game, and Ben got thrown into the game against the Ravens in week 2, and his first pass was incomplete, and he missed a wide-open Plaxico Burress, and his second pass was intercepted, and it was one of those, what were you thinking, dude, interceptions. And then Ben ran off 13 straight victories, and I think it was when they got to about 4-1, and they played the Cowboys on the road, Jim Nantz doing the game, and Ben led them back with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Eddie George was actually playing running back in that game for the Cowboys. When Ben led them back with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns and they were 5-1, I think at that point, like Dak Prescott his rookie year, like Tom Brady in 2001, like all of that, it was that moment of, I think that horse has left the barn. And so I was thinking about Roethlisberger's year and how they didn't think he was ready. But Tommy Maddox got hurt, and they put their quarterback of the future in, and their quarterback future of the future played, and he played well, and that was it. In 2020, the Chargers started Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback, who suffered a rib injury in week 1. They shot up the ribs in week 2, and the doctor missed and punctured a lung. And the backup quarterback, Justin Herbert, the quarterback of the future, ends up getting the start against the Chiefs. And Herbert played so well, it was a game I believe went to overtime or either came right down to the last second and Mahomes led Kansas City to a victory. And at that point, it was over. Herbert was the quarterback. And I wouldn't rule that out here either. Levis is going to be better from Chicago to New England. That was his first game. I heard Rick Spielman, the former Vikings general manager, talking about how C.J. Stroud looked so much more comfortable in week 2 than he did week 3. Week 2 than he did week 1. And I'm expecting that out of Levis in week 3. But again, this whole wanting to know what's going to happen, other than the main thesis statement, which is Will Levis is your future franchise quarterback as of right now, and if he's not, you may not have your job anymore, then it makes all these other decisions in between a lot easier. That is that if after this season, Tannehill has a decent year, but you get knocked out in the wild card round or the divisional round, and Tannehill looks like the 18th best quarterback in the NFL, and in practice every day you see Will Levis driving the football, he's making good decisions, and he's a good leader, then you go into next season with Will Levis as your quarterback, which is what the Commanders did this year with Sam Howell. But just like Kenny Pickett last year didn't start, Mitchell Trubisky did, before Kenny Pickett ended up taking over, Will Levis is the future franchise quarterback for this team. And I just think that there are so many Titan fans out there, and I'm a little surprised because I was expecting the Chad Withrows in the text line to blow up the text line and say, oh, no, Jared, don't say that. Will Levis, he's not that good. He sucked at Kentucky. I was expecting that, and I haven't got a lot of that, which I'm a little surprised by. But I know you Levis haters are waiting. I know you're waiting in the wings. We'll get to your phones next, 615-737-1025. Plus, Stephen A. Smith has quite the opinion on Will Levis's new endorsement. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry is in. Touchdown, Tennessee.
All the big stories.
I fully expected DeAndre Hopkins wanting a one-year deal.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The doors on the board.
Such superstar players.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared for PhD Weight Loss. I've been on the program now all summer, and I'm approaching the 30-pound mark for weight loss. That's right. We're getting so close. It's been wonderful, and I'm excited each and every morning to get started with my personalized PhD nutrition program that my coach put together for me. I appreciate the fact that PhD Weight Loss hasn't overwhelmed my life, but it's enhanced it. From feeling better about myself in pictures to having increased energy, PhD is great for me, and the program is simple. In fact, we've recently tweaked it so that we can bust through that plateau. If you're someone who has struggled to lose weight, go to myphdweightloss.com and check it out for yourself. They've got the coaching, the program, and their guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That's PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers organization and fans, online at myphdweightloss.com.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared. I want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Mom, we're out of potato chips.
Teenagers, they'll eat you out of house and home, kind of like health insurance, which can take a big bite out of the family budget. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available.
Can we order pizza?
Visit FBHP.com or your local Farm Bureau office today.
Green right, box 2 run, double catch.
He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Why did 25, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I want to thank everyone for coming. Today is a very special day. It really is the culmination of years and years of hard work to become the best football player that I could possibly be. And for it to come to this moment is a dream come true. It's not every day that someone offers to compensate you in mayonnaise. I'm proud to officially announce that I've signed a lifetime supply of Hellmann's contract. I'd like to thank my mom, who introduced me to Hellmann's mayonnaise and started my love for the beautiful condiment that it is, as well as my high school lunch lady, Miss Lisa, who knew that extra mayonnaise meant extra mayonnaise.
There you go. That's Levis's new mayonnaise endorsement, which I'm sure, everybody. Jared, that's not fair for you to say that he shouldn't do it. I mean, money's money. I mean, if he doesn't win the backup job, he'll be the only third-string quarterback in America that has an endorsement. And I'm sure there's not going to be anybody that just rolls their eyes. Okay. Guy can't play, and he's got a mayonnaise commercial. Way to go. But Stephen A. Smith had a hot Stephen A. Smith-like take on his podcast that only Stephen A. Smith could have in reference to Will Levis's new mayonnaise endorsement.
I heard this story, and I just cringed. This is a dude that puts mayonnaise in his coffee. I'm going to repeat that. Mayonnaise in his coffee. Do y'all know he got a lifetime deal with Hellmann's Mayo? That's just nasty. And by the way, I'm going to say something that ain't popular, but it needs to be said right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. When I saw this, I knew he had to be white. Ain't no brothers and sisters doing that. Ain't no brothers and sisters putting mayonnaise in their coffee. Now, that had to be somebody white. It's all love. It's all love. You understand what I'm saying? The good Lord above created all of us. I'm not throwing any shade, but there's just certain things. What did Bernie Mac say? I love white people, but we different. We the same, but we different. No, that's saying. Remember when Bernie Mac said that? I'm trying to tell you something. Remember that? Remember he did that? I'm trying to tell you right now, a lifetime contract with Hellmann's Mayo because he puts mayo in his coffee. I knew that man had to be white.
Ian, your reaction?
I mean, it is a pretty strange thing to do.
So I am not a mayo eater.
I mean, I like mayonnaise on a sandwich.
Like on sandwiches and things like that. Like if it comes on a sandwich, I'm not going to be like, oh gosh, mayonnaise. But I've never been somebody who likes mayonnaise. But I did watch the movie Undercover Brother when I was a kid, and they were talking about how adding mayonnaise to a sandwich is something that's apparently incredibly white, and I had no idea of that. I mean, I don't think that putting mayonnaise in your coffee is a white thing. I mean, Stephen A. Smith probably just doesn't know anybody that does it, because I don't think there's anybody else out there that does it, because it's freaking disgusting. Now, I say that. I don't even drink coffee. You're a big coffee drinker.
I like coffee, yeah. I drink
mayonnaise
coffee every day.
Your thoughts?
I mean, it sounds really gross. I mean, I have heard of people putting, I actually heard old former Predator talk about this, Eric Nystrom, one time.
And he's kind of a kook.
They would put grass-fed butter, like the nice butter. Like you get super fancy organic grass-fed cow milk that they turn into butter, and they would put just like a slab of butter into your coffee instead of creamer or milk.
Like the whole stick?
No, just like a little...
Like a cut?
Yeah, just like a cut. You drop that in there instead of creamer or milk. I have heard people do that before. I have never done it. I have heard of that, but I have never heard of mayo in the coffee before. I mean, that just sounds gross. I don't even think mayo has dairy in it. It's made of eggs.
Well, aren't eggs dairy?
No, I think eggs technically are not a dairy product.
I mean, I guess they don't come from a cow, so...
Yeah, so I don't even really know how it works or why you would want to do that, but it sounds really gross.
Okay, So that was Stephen A. Smith's reaction to that. Let's go to your phone, 615-737-1025. Texter says, I'm the biggest Tennessee fan you'll ever meet, but wanting Levis to fail is stupid. I did not see the top 5 pick that people were calling him, and I did not want the Titans to take him at 11, but taking him in the second round is an entirely different thing, and I hope he is better than I thought he would be. See, this is where I have a hard time, like, connecting the dots of the thinking between Vrabel and what, like, is reality of an NFL team. And what I mean by that is, okay, so this texter is saying not at 11, he's not good enough at 11, but he's good enough at 33, which is something we heard a lot of, right? Like, oh, the value at 33. I don't really understand how that works. So now, is it more okay to bust on a quarterback because you took him at 33 instead of taking him at 11?
Does the Corey Davis rule apply to that?
Where the value of it, like how much that hurts or helps the franchise?
Mm-hmm.
So here's where I would say that it doesn't. I think it doesn't because I'm talking about the perception of, like, somebody has to play quarterback in the future, and that person's going to be Will Levis. Now, Will Levis might fail, but somebody's going to have to do it. And so if you had taken a guy with the 11th pick and he turns out to be a star, or you had taken him with the 9th pick and he's a butt, like, that doesn't matter, right? Like, the Jets had a first-round pick, and they took Sam Darnold, and that busted on them. And in the same draft, the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson with a value pick at 32, and I'm not sure that it mattered other than the Ravens got their quarterback and the Jets didn't get their quarterback, and 3 years later were drafting again to try to find their quarterback of the future. And by the time that you transition from one guy to the next guy to find the next quarterback of the future, what happens?
Well, does it make it any better that if Levis doesn't pan out, that you didn't use a top 15 pick on him?
So I think that doesn't matter because the coach still gets fired. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess I could see.
So, like,
if you moved up, you still make the move. Okay.
I think Vrabel committed himself to Levis, where unless something happens that we're not anticipating,
like a San Francisco type thing.
Yes, Brock Purdy comes out of the stork's nest. Like, outside of that, I mean, Levis gets the next crack after Tannehill, whenever that is, and if Levis stinks, Vrabel's gone. And so if you took him with the 11th pick or you took him with the 33rd pick, I'm not sure it really makes much of a difference. If he fails, you lose the games that he played quarterback in, you're out. Just like Geno Smith with the Jets. Geno Smith was a second-round pick, and Rex Ryan still got fired. So that's kind of the point. That's where I have a hard time understanding why the Titans did what they did, unless the Titans are thinking about it the way the caller's thinking about it, which is, oh, well, you know, he was our 18th player on the board, and so we couldn't take him at 11, so now we can take him at 33, and we get a great value pick. But if he stinks, you still lose games, and so if you lose games, you still get fired. Drew Lock was a second-round pick, and they got fired. And so that's why I'm like, all right, if you were willing to take this guy with the 33rd pick, that's you putting your hand down on the table, on the mahogany, and saying, he is the quarterback of the future. He's our guy. Well, if you feel that strongly about him, that you're going to risk your job on him, that you're going to say he's the quarterback of the future, then why wouldn't you have taken him with the 11th pick? Because if you had taken him with the 11th pick, I mean, at least you would have for sure had him. And he's a quarterback. And so if you kind of love a guy, you take him. Now, I think the third round is a different discussion because Mason Rudolph was taken in the third round. And, what was that bum? Davis Webb was taken in the third round. So, like, you take a guy in the third round, you bust on a third rounder. I mean, hey, you know, it didn't work out. We took him in the third round. Who cares? Take a guy in the 6th or the 7th round, and you expect him to fail, like Luke Falk or Cole McDonald. But not with the 33rd pick. With the 33rd pick, he's quarterback of the future. And if he stinks, you're fired. So that's why I have a hard time understanding it, that if you liked him enough to put your job on it, Why would you have not taken him at 11 to make sure that nobody else could have gotten him? And that's just the, again, the whole with the value is just something I'm not sure that I completely or totally understand. Another texter into the text line says, I don't hate Levis as the potential future quarterback of the Titans. He's not the potential future quarterback of the Titans. He is the future quarterback of the Titans. I don't hate Levis as the potential future quarterback of the Titans. He is already miles better than Malik was this time last year, barely beating out Logan Woodside. By the way, Malik didn't beat out Logan Woodside. Malik was drafted in the 3rd round. Logan Woodside was a Scarbini. That's what happened. Malik was terrible in the preseason last year. Terrible. The potential is much higher, and it is great. He can learn behind a vet like Tannehill. Did you know that Tannehill is tied with Tom Brady and Steve Young for the 21st best completion percentage in the history of the NFL? No, I did not. I mean, I'm just telling you that that is one thing, too, I think about. Like, I brought up Roethlisberger earlier. Do you know that Brian St. Pierre had a better quarterback rating in the 2004 preseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers than Ben Roethlisberger did? Did you know that? Did you even know who Brian St. Pierre was?
Can't say I heard of him.
See? So, again, the Steelers did not go back to the room and say, well, Brian St. Pierre had a better preseason, so maybe we should consider him over Ben Roethlisberger. And that is what comes with the territory of where somebody is drafted. And that wanes over time. I thought the Jets probably pulled the plug on Zach Wilson a little too soon, but he did suck. And they did get Aaron Rodgers. And it's New York. But I do think these things take time. Trevor Lawrence was terrible as a rookie. Nobody noticed, though, because it was Jacksonville, and everybody blamed Urban Meyer. And Trevor Lawrence was terrible last year until midway through the season. And nobody noticed again because it was Jacksonville. And that'll probably happen here. But, I mean, Will Levis is the quarterback of the future here. And that's the thing that I'm okay with you saying that you don't think he's any good. And I'm okay with, even though I think it's unfounded because I think Levis is pretty good. And I'm okay with everybody saying that, they didn't want to pick him or they didn't believe in him or anything like that. You're entitled to your opinion. But I don't think it is a negotiable discussion as to whether or not Levis is the quarterback of the future. Just like Ben was with the Steelers. Just like Herbert was with the Chargers. Just like one point in time, Achilles Smith was for the Bengals. Just like Marcus was your quarterback of the future here. And I just think that this is not Zach Mettenberger where you can just get rid of him. I mean, you invested heavily in Will Levis. You need Will Levis to be good. And I actually think Will Levis is pretty good. And I watched that first game that Ben played against the Ravens. Now, keep in mind, this was 2004. So times were a little different in terms of how people were allowed to hit the quarterback, how people were allowed to hit receivers, how people were allowed to all kinds of things. And that was the Ravens defense, which, had Ray Lewis on it and Ed Reed on it and Chris McAllister on it and Peter Boulware on it. But Ben looked like a scared puppy out there for about the first 2-3 drives that he played. And then Ben kind of got in the rhythm, and then Ben won 13 straight. Until the AFC Championship game where he threw an interception to Rodney Harrison and Mike Vrabel jumped on his chest. That is, in fact, what happened. 615-737-1025. Tomorrow's going to be a very, very special show. Very excited for it. We'll explain why. We'll do that next here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Play ball!
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at Gwinnett.
Gloves, grabs, guns, gets them, and the Sounds win again.
Pre-game at 5:50.
Nashville Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
Now through Labor Day, get fantastic deals at Electronic Express. Get a 65-inch TCL 4K Roku TV, only $349, or an HP Chromebook for just $249. Electronic Express has huge savings on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Avanti laundry pair just $379 each, or a Ring Video doorbell for only $69. Plus, get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. Yum, yum, have some fun, share with the ones you love. Don't you wanna roll?
At At O'Charlie's, we thought you'd enjoy a little country rock and rolls. The warm, buttery, delicious kind. Served free with every meal. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, have some fun. Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
Check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Skyline offers world-class orthopedic care. The doctors at their Dickerson Road location specialize in general orthopedics, arthroscopic surgery for general orthopedics and sports medicine, hip, knee, and shoulder, as well as hand, wrist, and elbow trauma. They offer same-day appointments, too, so you can get back to enjoying life sooner. Schedule your appointment now at tn.houston.com. Conveniently located at the TriStar Skyline Medical Center in Nashville. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think Vandy's got a shot in a weekend SEC East in the last year of the SEC East outside of Georgia and Tennessee. I think Vandy's got a shot to have a pretty good season. Your thoughts?
I think they do. I mean, I think they're going to be strong at quarterback. They've got what they need to do is play better defense. I mean, they just got pushed around badly on defense, but they've got some guys back. And the thing about Clark Lee is that he's one of the most respected defensive minds in college football, having been the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame before he came to Vandy. His defensive coordinator, Nick Howell, was the D coordinator at BYU under Bronco Mendenhall, who himself as a head coach was one of the most respected coordinators and defensive play callers in all of college football. And I know Coach Howell from BYU. I mean, the defensive brain trust there will maximize what they've got on defense, and they're growing. They're heading in the right direction. And I think they will blow past that 3.5 wins. And the support for Vanderbilt from the administration is finally there in the way that it needs to be in order for coaches and players who are working their tails off to be able to succeed and have a better chance of succeeding.
There you go. That was Trevor talking about Vandy football. So tomorrow's show will be live at Vanderbilt. We'll have Candace Lee, the athletic director. We'll have Clark Lee, the head coach. And I don't know about you guys, but I was talking to Chase earlier today. And I was just, we were talking about all kinds of stuff or whatever. And I told him, I was like, I'm starting to get a little depressed. And I got a little depressed this time last year. And I think the reason why I'm getting a little depressed is because it feels so mundane to be talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, God, football is so close, but it feels like it's so far away at the same time. But Vandy plays on Saturday night. They host Hawaii at First Bank Stadium out there at Vandy, so we will be live there tomorrow, which I'm excited about. Now, The one thing we need to know, yes, 102.5 is the first Vanderbilt game of our new contract with Vanderbilt that will air on 102.5 Saturday night. But just because their games are on 102.5 doesn't really change a whole lot in terms of like me and Vandy and my opinions on Vandy. Because for the last 3 years before this, we had all those games on 93.3, and we own that station. So it wasn't like we didn't have the Vandy rights. We've always had the Vandy rights. At least the people that I've worked for have always had them. So this is not a homerific take. Even though I did grow up a Vanderbilt fan, but Ian, back me up on this. I have dumped on Vandy plenty over the last 8 years.
Fair.
I think they're going to have a pretty good season. And I think a lot of this is because I really believe in the coach. Like when he took the job, Clark Lee, I got to know him a little bit when I played in a celebrity softball game, and he was one of the coaches. And, you know, he really wowed me right away in terms of just the guy he was, how down-to-earth he was, how meticulous he was, how he had a plan, and I knew he was a really sharp defensive coordinator. But now that I've kind of seen the plan implemented, and I've seen the organization, and I saw them, they got much better from year one to year two. And then I look at their schedule, and I'm like, Hawaii, they're a 17-point favorite. They're going to win that game. Alabama A&M, they're going to win that game. At Wake Forest, they probably should win that game. At UNLV, they're going to win that game. And then they play Kentucky. And I have no idea if Kentucky's any good. And in the days of the transfer portal, I don't really know if we know if any of these teams are really good. But then they play Missouri, who traditionally kind of stinks, and that game's at home. They play at Florida, and that coach seems kind of like a bozo, and so they might win that one. They beat Florida last year. Now they're going to lose to Georgia at home, and they're probably going to lose to Ole Miss. But, I mean, I think that's like 5 or 6 wins that I just said right there off the top. And then they just have to win one, you know, Auburn or South Carolina. And Auburn, the quarterback position sounds like a mess. South Carolina, it seems like they have a quarterback, but maybe nothing else. I mean, I got to be honest. Like, I'm excited for Vandy football this year. I think Vandy football might make a bowl this year. And I think they're going to be better than people give them credit for. And maybe it's just because I like the coach. Maybe it's simply that. I'm never going to pretend to be somebody who knows about all these transfer players that I've never heard of. I am like a guy right now before next week when the week 1 of the college football season starts. I am like a college basketball guy who fills out a bracket. But by the end of the first weekend, I'll know everything there is to know. And that's how I feel about this with college football. But I think he's going to win some games now. Like, I think that there's – and people are making fun of them because they've got all the construction going on over at the stadium. And it's like, ha, ha. It's like, dude, we've been making fun of them for not constructing on the stadium for a while. So I don't have a problem with that. So we'll be live at Vandy tomorrow. Enjoy it. Stillman and Company. ESPN Radio's next.